Welcome to our Friday coverage of America's Day of the Races on Fox Sports 2. Good to have you with us. Final 2 weekends in South Ozone Park, New York. It's going to be rocking there on July 4th. Hot dog eating contest coming up. Don't eat the hot dogs, then go on the Cyclone. Reverse order, please. We got a good card. We're going to show you the first 7 from Belmont at the Big A. 6 races from out at Monmouth. We'll check in with Paul LaDuca in just a little bit as the sun shines down on us here in South Ozone Park, New York. I'm Greg Wolf. I'll bring in my team up here in just a moment. Glad to have you with us on this Friday afternoon, 13 days away until we head upstate to Saratoga, but a lot of big races still to be decided, a lot of them on the turf here downstate at Belmont of the Big A. We'll preview the big one coming up tomorrow for 3-year-olds, Grade 3 Manila, and Christophe Clement's Deterministic getting on the turf for the very first time. We'll have a preview of that race ahead on the Saturday card. Today's action presented by Claiborne Farm. Here's what we have ahead. Fast and Firm here in New York. Races 1 through 7. We'll kick off that early pick 5 right off the bat here in about 4 minutes. And Monmouth, they are Fast and Firm in Oceanport, New Jersey. Again, we'll check in with Paul LaDuca in just a little bit. Love this trio. Acacia Clement, New York Racing Association handicapper, Andy Serling. Good to see you both.
Nice to see you. Very rare that the three of us actually get to share the desk together, so I always look forward to these days.
I think I may have to get us Team Greg shirts. What do you think? Now that we're part of Greg's team.
I love
think
it.
I want to have a Team
Does it
Greg
include
shirt.
pom-poms? Do we get those too?
I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm Team Greg.
I claimed ownership, sorry.
I'm there. I'm there. I am all about Team Greg.
Let's get to this first race coming up. It's a $20,000 maiden claiming event, 7/8 of a mile. Even money on anyone in this field. Shaking the Bell, who is now 0 for 7 for Rudy Rodriguez. Very short price.
I wonder if it has a lot more to do with Flavien Prat riding this horse than anything else, though I think both Case and I agree he's the one to beat.
24.
Yeah, you know, this horse gets back on the dirt for the new connections and didn't run that badly. In fact, beat Shaking the Bell, but an ex-Todd Pletcher as well.
Here's the even money favorite with Flavien Prat.
I saw what you did with
Thank
Hours
you.
in the Day. Shaking the Bell is the one to beat.
ignored it.
He does have speed. He's been knocking on the door. Can he turn the tables on Hours in a Day?
First on dirt for Battle of Britain.
He's the true fuzzy in here, but there's nothing about this horse that says sprinting on the dirt, and you almost wonder if it's just a total give-up.
One dirt start for Discreet B&B. It was not very good.
No, he has not shown anything on dirt or turf, so maybe the blinkers will help him to turn things around.
The other Rudy Rodriguez, no surrender.
But this one has an apprentice. Now, getting back to the dirt for this one's probably the right move and has run well enough to compete.
8-1, unaffected, Ruben Silvera.
And Ruben Silvera has been riding well here in New York. This horse is running for the lowest level he's ever raced at before.
Some excuses last start for Whitby?
I guess, but the problem is the 2 dirt races are both sort of tough to really like, and you wonder if he can run it all. But in this race, I don't want to condemn anybody. Both Acacia and I like the 6 unaffected, and the price seems to be right.
2 minutes to post to kick off this Friday card here, Belmont at the Big A. You can play this Pick 5. All of the action today, all summer long at Saratoga and beyond by getting signed up with Now Bets. That offer, there it is. $200 deposit match sign-up bonus when new members punch in that code on your screen right now, match 200. Do that at sign up. Again, right there at NowRaBets.com and bet any track, anywhere, anytime. How do they look on track as we get set to kick off this card? Let's check in downstairs with Maggie Wolfendale. Hi, Maggie.
Hey, Greg. Well, I can tell you one thing. I am the lucky one today. It is glorious here at the Big A. There's not a cloud in the sky. Birds chirping. That doesn't usually happen around here. And it's just so beautiful. It's perfect temperature. Everybody really enjoying the weather here. As we'll take a look at the 2 for Rudy Rodriguez. One of them is your current favorite. In number 2, Shaking the Bell. He looks to be a speed type. And I thought he was part of a race that kind of fell apart, not fell apart, but he was on top of the pace that kind of came back to the winner who, took advantage of that last time out. He's a little bit smaller in stature, so this 7, as he does only go another half a furlong, it's probably stretching him a little bit, but I just feel like he kind of controls here, and his form and his physical makeup suggests that he's just trending in the right direction. So I can't really fault anybody for taking the favorite here, as we'll check in with Rudy's other horse, horse who is a bigger price. And number 5, No Surrender, he has had his chances, and they're adding up as we speak. But going back to the dirt, that makes sense. And last time, wired by a heavy and prohibitive favorite in Andy Cant, as he kind of had that wide chase throughout. He's a horse that sometimes can be bad at the gate. We'll see how he behaves today. He does come back, though, wearing front wraps for the very first time. And wish he just possessed a little bit more energy out on the racetrack. It kind of, was a little lackluster in the warm-up. You have a total wild card in the presence of number 3, Battle of Britain. He's exclusively run on the turf. This pedigree is exclusively turf, and he looks it. But this is the lowest level he's ever run. And when you kind of look at these horses, just judging them physically and not looking at their form whatsoever, he looks as though he should be best. He's bred to be probably the best horse in here, but obviously there's been a lot of issues along the way. We'll see what he does here as those French 3/4 cup blinkers go on. I, too, guys, am interested in the price that you guys like in number 6, Unaffected. That feels like a big price for a horse that arguably has faced some better company, especially on the main track. If you just go 2 back, and that was off of a layoff. He looks stronger. He looks fitter. He's grown quite a bit now as a 4-year-old. I think he makes a lot of sense here at a generous 10-1.
You like the 6, 10-1. The 2 at 4-5 would be like taking Bronny James in the first 20 picks in the NBA draft.
I think the Lakers, by the way, should have to start Bronny James. I think that should be their punishment, taking him second.
Yeah, I think what you said, Andy, about the presence of Flavien Prat is a big key with this horse. But like I said, with the 6, Unaffected, Ruben Silveira is an aggressive rider. He's been riding well here, and I just wanted a new face in this group.
I agree. His last race was on the dirt was against much better, and I just kind of wanted somebody a little different like you did, and we kind of had the same thought process in this race. I do agree the Tour's doors to beat, but 4-5 is ridiculous.
Hours in a Day, the 1 is 5-1, finished ahead of the favorite when they met. I realized that was with Pletcher. It's a new barn. It does not win near as often, but we'll see what happens here. Short price on this, too. Prat for Rudy Rodriguez as we kick off this Friday card. Belmont at the Big A on our Fox Sports 2 coverage. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
Whitby to the outside. Goes in. All set. And they're off. Broken an even line. Hours in a Day has early speed, but a host of company here towards the outside. There goes Whitby, and Whitney now puts a nose in front. It's Whitby and a hard scent. Battle of Britain. Jose Gomez wants to be a part of the early action. Shaking the Bell is in that early mix as well, and these 3 hook up early, and they move quickly up top. Just off of them is going to be Hours in a Day is to the inside of Discreet, B&B. They're taking off at this early pace, 22-3 for the opening quarter mile. The 2 at the back, it's Unaffected with No Surrender. It's now 2 of them across the track, as backing out of it was Battle of Britain. Can't keep up with the early heat. And the front 2 go at it. It's the 4-5 favorite in Shaking the Bell. Does not want to relent as the big long shot Whitby has got a nose in front. And these 2 are well into the far turn now, and they are 8 lengths clear of the rest. Trying to run on. That's No Surrender. Is saving ground towards the inside, is in behind. Battle of Britain, who's lost ground. Hours in a Day is also trying to make up some ground, but the front 2 have not come back to the field, and it's a big long shot to the outside and the favorite to the inside, and Whitby is trying to put away Shaking the Bell. It's Whitby who's trying to cut loose here, and Whitby is now a neck, now a half length, now a full length in front. A furlong left to go. Whitby, Romero Mirage, they're a length and a half up. They are 21-1 on the board. Shaking the Bell trying to battle back. Whitby opening up late. Whitby at a price in the opener. Whitby wins it, then came Shaking the Bell, Hours in a Day, and No Surrender. 1 minute 24.35 seconds.
21-1 shot outduels this 4-5 favorite. Romero Mirage for trainer Mark Hennig.
And I do wonder if this was just a case of the top 2 running and nobody else really putting much forth on the racetrack, but they separated themselves early on from the rest of this field. And this is a horse that has not shown anything on the dirt as of yet, but Romero being aggressive with him certainly paid off, Andy.
I'm happy for the guys at Little Bluebird Stable. I hope they made a score betting him as well. I have no idea what you could possibly have seen in this horse's PPs to bet him, but he got the job done, and it feels like not the first time that a difficult horse to make on paper has gotten a super aggressive ride from Romero Mirage. As he was basically riding the hair off this horse from start to finish. He probably needs a little bit of a nap after that and got the job done. It's not like Shaking the Bell didn't run okay, but not nearly as well as Whitby. Don't know where it came from, but congrats to Connections.
21-1 fireworks to kick off this Friday card, beating a 4-5 favorite. 7-2-1-5 finish. Romero Mirage getting by Flavien Prat and the chalk to kick things off. And a lot of handicappers now scratching their heads and looking ahead to the pick four.
There's plenty of other opportunities throughout the day.
Picture time for Mark Hennig and company. Andy mentioned Little Bluebird Stables, who own this 3-year-old who breaks his maiden career start, number 6, at a big number.
Maybe the entire Little Bluebird operation will be taking down the pick 5. But on a card that looked where there's some logical races, this is an illogical horse. But hey, if you have this horse, good luck.
But you even said in the post-parade, Andy, I don't want to discredit anybody in this field. I mean, it was that kind of race. We knew it was a suspect favorite at 4-5, and he ran fine. But he just runs kind of the same kind of race that he often does.
It was a ridiculously overbet favorite in there. It's almost like they saw Flavien Prat and said, I don't want to bet any of these other jockeys. And it's not jockey racing.
7-2-1-5 finish. We'll have these prices. Look ahead to the pick 4 when we come back. And as promised, we'll preview the weekend coming up. Grade 3 Manila. 3-year-olds on the grass. Already a stakes winner as a 2-year-old. Can move to gold. Cash in on his graded stakes debut in Saturday's graded stakes contest in the Manila. We'll have a preview ahead.
Demarchelier, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back with you on our Friday coverage, brought to you in part where you can play all the action we bring you. Naira Bets. Go to nairabets.com. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. That's a 21-1 shot. Crossing the wire first in front of a 4-5 favorite to kick off this card, Whitby, with a shocker to start off our Friday action.
And I do think the aggressive ride from Romero Mirage made the difference. This horse has never shown anything on the dirt before, and he was forwardly placed and able to finish best.
Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
Here with trainer Mark Hennig, who got Whitby to the winner's circle in upset fashion. Mark, hindsight's always 20/20, but when you look at this horse, acting up in the gate last time, now he draws on the outside. He gets an aggressive ride from Romero Mirage. He doesn't have to deal with the kickback, and boom, it results in a win.
Honestly, I was actually kind of confident in him, at least having a good effort today because of the draw. If you go back and watch all of his races since we claimed him, his first start when Saez pulled him up at the quarter pole, he got blasted leaving the gate. He had the one hole, took all that dirt and never tried at all, and then he just kept having gate issues. And with the outside draw, we stood him a bunch of times in between these two races, and I think it made a big difference being on the outside. And I told Romero exactly, that's kind of how we drew it up on paper. I said, just kind of get him away from there, try and keep him, even if he doesn't break well, keep him out wide, keep him out of the kickback. He obviously doesn't like that very much. And we've been trying to stretch him out to a mile and a 16th, but they don't go,
That's what I wrote in my notes. I was like, well, a little more ground should help him. He does look like a horse that wants, to cover ground. And obviously with more ground, you find it easier to get to the lead.
For sure. And like 45 and change today, I think it's a testament to probably his wanting to go further that he was able to keep going after doing that. So hopefully, we can stretch out at Saratoga and never won two, and who knows.
Always helps to have options in Saratoga or horses that can be effective. You will send out two more today, and Dowd coming up in the fourth. I thought, just kind of that steady progression off the layoff and keeps improving with each subsequent effort. What can we expect from him today?
Well, he's doing well. He's a big old heavy horse, so it might take him a couple starts, but he kind of got outrun last time. But I think hopefully he runs well today. Looks like a decent setup for him.
Yeah. All right, well, best of luck. Hopefully we see you here again.
Right, thanks a lot.
All right, Mark Hennig kicking off the day in style as Whitby graduates with a battling front-running score. Here was Romero Mirage, guys.
Might have just had the biggest price we'll see all day in the opener. That horse Maggie asked him about in Dowd, we'll see later. Not going to be near as big a price. So Rat Ortiz Jr. will be aboard there.
Yes, that always takes the price down a bit, that's for sure.
Not a lot of $45 horses with IRAT on them.
Pick four coming up next in race two. One-turn mile on the main track, $40,000 claiming race. And a couple of big scratches in here, most notably Nimitz Class, 9-5 morning line favorite coming out.
Yeah, a horse that I don't know what they paid for him, but obviously, and that's not correct because from another mother's running.
Yes.
It's currently 3-2. Nimitz Class was scratched, horse that was bought by the Connections to run the Pegasus after beating Gunite last year in the mile race, the Parks Mile, and he just has not worked out. With him not playing, take some of the value out, at least for me. I want to play against him.
Yeah, just the 3 and 5 scratch. The 2 remains in the race.
Yeah, and from another mother, he's the type of horse that's always right there, just not really a horse that can seal the deal coming in off avoided claims. You've got him, then you've got St. Andrew, who's kind of a new face coming into the Linda Rice barn, and you wonder if either of these can turn things around in here. But again, those are the two taking all the money now with Nimitz Class out.
It's hard to really go with the other twos. I see the entries taking money, but that's just a tribute to how much entries get bet. I have no idea what anybody finds appealing about either one of them. The first glimpse did run okay, 2 back.
More on this when we come back from a timeout. Again, it kicks off the early pick 4. Again, grade 3 Manila on Saturday. It'll go as race 7, and a lot of eyes will be on this guy right here, Deterministic. Gotham winner earlier this year, getting on the lawn for the first time for Christophe Clement.
Spun to Run. His brilliant speed figures were among the fastest of any 3-year-old at a mile or more, and he hails from the legendary Danzig sire line. Now, this multiple graded stakes winner, millionaire, and Breeders' Cup champion is passing his remarkable talent along to his progeny.
955 200 200 down to in the back. Patrick 200,000. Thank you.
Spun to Run, standing at Gainesway.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
They're off in the hopeful. Here's Basin now running up alongside, and Basin grabs the lead. Basin and Jose Ortiz are running away in the hopeful.
There's a big, bold, beautiful world waiting to be explored by you and your friends, of course. But not just any friends, the best of friends. The kind of friends who let you do you. Because in this world, it's positive vibes only. And when you get in the zone here, you stay a while. These aren't just good times, they're the best of times. And your time is now. So come explore. Resorts World.
Manila moving through toward the inside. Dancing Brave, poised for the stretch drive on the outside fourth. Darrara has dropped out of it as the field turns for home. Theatrical coming after Estropod. Theatrical and Estropod matching strides. Theatrical by ahead. Estropod Game coming back toward the inside. Manila is third, and Dancing Brave has been defeated, and they're coming to the wire, and it's Theatrical. Manila coming after him. Manila on the outside, and yes, Manila gets there in the final strides.
European dominance was supposed to continue in this race, but the ARC winner, 1-2 favorite Dancing Brave, had to settle for fourth as Manila and Jose Santos, who had the crop knocked out of his hands by Gary Stevens on Theatrical. Final 70 yards in here, hand ride to the finish.
That was a great race. I was there. It was actually my first trip to California. I went to this Breeders' Cup, and Dancing Brave was a remarkable horse. He apparently lost 150 pounds in the ship. It was just a disaster on the ship out there. But Manila was a world-class horse, and maybe one of the best American-bred turf horses of my lifetime, actually.
And I love his record, too. 12 for 18 with 5 seconds. The only off-the-board race was his debut, too. I mean, this is a horse that just showed up every time. And that is interesting. It took to 2008 for him to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, but a horse that always showed up on the racetrack.
Yeah, he got hurt after beating Theatrical in the Arlington Million, and he lost his prior start in a 4-horse field in Bernard Baruch to Angel Cordero in Talakano, a huge upset.
Wow. Almost 70,000 on hand.
For that Breeders' Cup?
For that Breeders' Cup. Incredible.
It's a great day of racing.
Grade 3 Manila coming up this weekend. It's our ABR Race of the Week. We showed you a couple of the contenders who are going to line up in this field going a mile on the grass. And we'll start with a horse who looked like it was a very exciting Derby prospect after that Grade 3 Gotham victory off the bench after that impressive maiden win back as a 2-year-old at Saratoga. Did not pan out on the Derby trail, so now it's turf.
And he does have turf pedigree. Andy, he obviously has a ton of ability off of his 2 starts, and see if he can run back to a race like this.
You know, it just shows how difficult the game can be. He runs that terrific race first time, then he gets hurt and they miss the big races as a 2-year-old. Okay, then he comes back and runs as well as he did in this race, and you're thinking we may have a real Derby contender, and then everything just fell apart.
And just to clarify, he wasn't hurt after that race, just a little nagging issue that they took to.
When I say it right, an issue that kept him out of racing, nothing major, right? Yes. But that's the thing with 2-year-olds, it happens all the time. And it all is forgotten when he wins the Gotham, but it didn't work out. And I know Christophe has talked about game in the turf. I don't think he's run that badly that he should be completely dismissed, and I'm not going to be surprised when he wins this race. I am friendly with Connections and I'm rooting for them to do well, but I think he's going to be a bit of an underlay. He is not going to be the 4-1 morning line.
Vacation is friendly with Connections too.
Through marriage, it's not her fault.
did this? Christoph raved about how he moved over the lawn. What did you see?
Yes, my husband Miguel and I were over there for this work, and this was last week when he got a chance to train on the turf course at Saratoga, which is a huge benefit. And his exercise rider, Hannah Smith, this day, she never really moved on him. She asked him a little bit into the stretch, but after that, he was able to do it on his own. And the thing about a horse like this, who has turf pedigree, but he obviously has ability, you want to give him every chance to show that maybe he can get there to the Derby when you have a 3-year-old colt. But it's something that's been in the back of their minds for a long time to try the turf. This is certainly not a last-ditch effort. It's always kind of been there in the thought process as well. But the fact that he moved so well in the turf, the fact that he did it so easily was a huge benefit in the way that he's been training, and also built a little bit more like a horse that made.
Does a lot happen in his future on how he does in this race tomorrow, or are all options on the table for him maybe to go back to dirt eventually?
I think all options are on the table, but I think that we're going to learn a lot from him this weekend. You can train on the turf, but until you actually go out and do it, there's also the question of distance. He's cutting back to a mile this weekend as well. The dam was more of a turf sprinter. Overall, the pedigree a little bit more leaning towards sprint. He's not necessarily built like a true out-and-out turf sprinter type, but we'll learn a lot from him this weekend as to what he may want.
Moved to gold, Andy. Broke his maiden in a stakes race for Chad Brown. Back as a 2-year-old. What have you seen from him since that time?
No improvement whatsoever. And while he ended up beating a horse in that stake race that did well this winter, I think he got a very fast pace that day, and that's probably why the fig was as big as it was. He got a good setup. But his numbers haven't improved at all as a 3-year-old. Now, he hasn't run badly in these races, but he should have won this race. This is an inferior field, the one he meets Saturday. He is not going to be favored in this race. There's no chance he's going to be favored. The only way a horse like this could possibly be favored is if Irad was riding him. He's not, and he hasn't shown yet he's good enough to beat any number of horse in this race. I hope he does well for the connections, but I don't like him on paper.
That is coming up again on our Saturday coverage, 3:40 Eastern start time for that Grade 3 Manila. So we'll hope to see you joining us for that tomorrow. Let's get back to today's coverage. $40,000 claiming race, 1-turn mile to kick off this early pick 4. Next on our Friday coverage here, 3-2 favorite is the 2 who gets the rail from Another Mother as we look at St. Andrews, not far behind for Linda Rice. 8-5 on the board with Kendrick Carmouche. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
Yeah, taking a look at St. Andrews, who is a horse that is new to the NYRA circuit, but one that I have seen in my trips out to Oakland Park. So somewhat familiar with him, and I like the fact that first time out here for Linda, they choose to run him long. He's a horse that physically I've always thought is more suited to distance races, and I think that, you know, the telling sign is that he's 2 for 6 at it, but I like the 1 turn because he is a horse that has a bit of early speed. So he kind of projects to maybe, you know, be in the right position here. Also, he looks fantastic. I mean, he's dappled head to toe. He's your typical Linda Rice runner here. And last time, he was in a race that featured 2 next time out winners in Autoglide and Record Point, both running 92 buyers respectively in subsequent efforts. And you know when Paco Lopez doesn't have a loop in his reins that the horse is pretty headstrong. And he was when he tried to sit off the pace. He was able to get to the rail from a far outside post in that muddy track effort on May 5th, closing day there at Oaklawn. And then he just kind of stayed on evenly through the stretch, hinting to me that he wasted a little too much energy fighting the riders. So I think with this 1 turn, maybe he gets a little bit more of that pace out in front of him. We'll see who does provide it, though. A horse that I have a little bit of a thing for is number 1, Nolo Contesto. And he just always looks so good, especially since Fernando Abreu claimed him here as they'll send out an entry with Powder Pop Racing. Last time he caught that sloppy track in Saratoga, it just felt as though, you know, horses really struggled to kind of make up that ground at Saratoga if they were too far behind. And I just feel like he's a horse that is better on a fast track, as his record would obviously indicate too. And I feel like this is kind of the first time that maybe Nappy's able to run him in a spot where he really truly belongs. He makes an excellent impression here, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thanks. We'll get to our post break here in a moment. Riders up as we get set to see him on track here, approaching the 6-minute mark to post. for this early pick 4. 6-5 favorites going back and forth between the 2 and the 4. St. Andrews now at 6-5. Last time out, muddy seal track at Oaklawn. Last time on a fast track was a win from pretty far out of it. This horse comes from off the pace.
He does, and I will say, last time against some tough company at Oaklawn, he ran against some good horses. The top 2 finishers both coming back to win with 92 Beyer speed figures, and he is a closer that does need to get the right kind of trip in here, Andy, and seeing what he can do, but I don't think Kendrick Carmouche in a small field is going to let him get too far back.
I agree. You know, closers in small fields tend to be much closer.
Here's a look at Nolo Contesto, sprinter stretching out.
I understand what Maggie's saying, and if you look, he has run well at a mile in the past. I didn't prefer him, but I thought Maggie made some decent points about him.
First glimpse, 32,000 claiming race, 2 back on dirt. That was a win.
No, I agree. His race 2 back gives him a chance. He's not impossible. I just cannot. I think entries are horrible value, and I almost never pick them.
From Another Mother, second, beat 4 lengths last start.
Unfortunately, to his 3 wins, he has 8 seconds. He's always right there, just not a winning type.
6-5 favorite St. Andrews. Here's Kendrick Carmouche for Linda Rice.
First time in Linda's barn and dropping back down in class. As you mentioned, his last claiming race was a win at Oaklawn.
Does this horse become interesting now with his speed outside?
He is going to be on the engine early, stretching out in distance. He has the layoff to contend with. Can he run back to that race we saw back in November? He's been disappointing lately in his last few starts.
9-1. From that outside post, pick 4 pool, over $50,000. It kicks off here in this second race. Coming up, you can follow along with all the action by downloading free Equibase Past Performances. Get the stats of the jockeys, trainers, and horses. Go to NYRA.com/TV schedule to get involved. We've got another race now where you have a horse, even money, who should not be probably.
I am surprised that this horse is frankly favored over St. Andrews. And, you know, what worries me about From Another Mother is he hasn't won in quite a while. And his last win was over a year ago. He's got a lot of seconds. He's been short prices in almost all of his starts. And when you're a short price and you just keep losing, they become black marks, because when you're 2-1, you're kind of supposed to win some of these races. And it's one thing to lose 1 race or 2 races, but when they start piling up, I do think he's possible in here. You almost feel like it's a negative on the 4 that this horse is even money, because to me, St. Andrews, especially the way Linda Rice's horses have been running, it's kind of supposed to be the favorite in here. And I also want to note, this is not a private purchase. Even though Linda didn't train this horse last time, these are the same connections that claimed the horse 2 back.
Now he's going to be maybe not last. Maybe that's
the 1A could be last,
but he'll be second to last.
But in a small field like this, you know, I think about Kendrick Carmouche yesterday and that terrific ride he gave on the Jeremiah Engelhart horse in the third race. Yeah, that horse could have been sitting back in last. And the way Kendrick rode him out at the gate with purpose to get him in the race, knowing he couldn't be in front, but also knowing I cannot be that far back, and it made the difference when you win a head bob and a rider rides like that. So I think Kendrick's a guy who's acutely aware that he does not want to get lost in this race.
And he's always, as we always say, he's a guy that warms up his horses, that puts them in a good spot. And I had asked him yesterday when he won by open lengths later in the card, I said, after a head bob, it must be fun to win by open lengths and have kind of an easy trip. He said, yeah, but I like the tactics of it. I like a little race riding out there too. He's a guy that really thinks about it, as do all the good jockeys that we have here in New York.
Yeah, no, we're so spoiled with the crew that we have. I think, you know, we were talking about it, Greg and I, with Irad, and I know that Irad's won, 47 straight Eclipse Awards, and you know, he's heading possibly another one, but I've never seen him riding better than he's riding now.
Really, as good as he is, 5 Eclipse Awards for him, just incredible, including last year, and now he seems like he's at the peak of his powers. Here's St. Andrews in action. Let's show you that race in that win last time out at Oaklawn. It was a $32,000 claiming race, got claimed out of this race, and as usual, coming from pretty far out of it for this win.
Yeah, this was his race 2 starts back, and he was claimed out of this. And as Maggie said, even in the most recent start, watching how he was finishing that day too, kind of in range late. He's a horse that does tend to come from pretty far off of it, but he finishes his races, which you appreciate. And like I said, he just ran against good horses last time. I think this is the right kind of spot for him. Andy, in a race like this, when looking at him, who's been running against better, whereas you have From Another Mother, who is not able to get the job done against comparable competition, do you think it's a little bit of a cause for pause that he's not as short a favorite?
Well, I mean, yes and no. It's not like he has speed figures that overlay the field. And I think at the end of the day, it's very hard for a horse, the first race not included, to be in these kind of races where you have horse with extended experience. I mean, you look at the Beyer figures that From Another Mother runs and St. Andrews runs, they're pretty comparable. So it's hard for them to be that different. And Greg, you look at thoroughgraphs. Are these two horses that different on thoroughgraphs?
Not at all. In fact, From Another Mother might be a little bit faster.
There you go.
Let's go to Maggie with more on the 2, who does have the rail.
Yeah, From Another Mother, he's coming out of a race in which he was just second best that day at Keeneland behind Systemic Change, who was a big favorite, and actually, I would say probably against the flow of the race and the track at Keeneland. And subsequently, Systemic Change claimed away from Chad Brown and was eased in that next effort. Now, that could be apples to oranges here, but you also have From Another Mother, who's coming off of a voided claim. Again, we don't know the circumstances of why that happened, but a horse that ever since they gelded him, he's really lightened up. You know, he's really taken on that gelding physical persona. He's moving beautifully. I mean, I wanted to reserve judgment and not talk about him in the paddock until I watched him warm up. I loved what I saw from him in the warm-up, possibly more than what I thought about him in the paddock. So all things good here. I really think, you know, I think the pace is going to be interesting. We know that Optic Way is going to go, but I know you guys think that number 4, St. Andrews, is going to be closing from far off of it. I'm not so sure about that, Greg.
We don't think he's going to be that far out of it. That's sort of the point. We agree. Yes, he is one of the slower horses in the race on paper, but we feel it's in a small field, especially with Kendrick.
Yeah.
He's not going to be in front, but I don't think he's going to more than 2 to 3 lengths out of it.
I don't think he's going to be that far back.
Unless they're going too fast.
Yes, that's for sure.
There's Kendrick. He's attuned to this and knows he's got to put his mount in the game in here. Even money on St. Andrews. See what happens here. Competitive group. From Another Mother ran that Keeneland race, even though it was beat 4 lengths for 32,000, faster than pretty much anything St. Andrews has run thoroughgraph-wise.
And it was a voided claim, but we see these voided claims come back and win so frequently that I just don't make that much of it because I don't really understand why they were voided a lot of the time.
No, and it could be for a multitude of reasons. It could also be for something very small that's easy for the current trainer that knows the horse very well to attend to after a race as well. So I think unless you know the exact reasoning for a voided claim, you really can't read too much into it when just seeing it on paper.
No, I think it's good that they're listed, but I really feel that racing as an industry has to find a way for racetracks to make information available on their website somewhere of why the horse claim was voided, because there are people that know, and information should be available to everybody, particularly the bettors.
Pick 4 pool approaching $100,000. We get set for the start of the sequence with a 21-to-1 shot kicking off the card. And if you're alive in the pick 5 after that first race, it's just nervous time the rest of the way, hoping you can seal the deal.
I'm rooting for you. You get a horse like that at home, I want you to get the money. I'm thinking the Little Bluebird stable's alive for about 70% of the pool.
We know where the party's going to be later, so.
There's Nolo Contesto stretching out, stepping in with Trevor McCarthy. Let's go upstairs. Race 2, start of the pick 4. Here's Chris Griffin.
First glimpse. Optic Way to the outside. And in. All set. And they're off. Nolo Contesto breaks with speed toward the far outside Optic Way, but here comes From Another Mother. From Another Mother now puts ahead in front. To the outside is challenging is Optic Way. They're going to be a clear 1-2 as Nolo Contesto settling off of them in third. Then comes First Glimpse, sharing the trailer spot with St. Andrews, who's now going to claim fourth, and they work to the backstretch. Moderate tempo early as Optic Way has got a nose in front. 23 seconds flat for that post at opening quarter mile. From Another Mother comes right back to the inside, and these two bandy back and forth. They're head and head up the backstretch. Up on the far outside, Nolo Contesto and Trevor McCarthy trying to make up some ground. First Glimpse is the trailer there with St. Andrews trying to pick up a spot as they approach. 4 furlongs left to go. Optic Way is still there. It's Raleigh and Optic Way. At the rail, it's From Another Mother at 7-5, has now put a neck in front. 45-4 for that half-mile time. Towards the inside, St. Andrews is just waiting for room. Purple Cap, Kendra Carmouche is looking for a seam. Now asks the question as Nolo Contesto is back to fourth. From the back, First Glimpse is trying to rally on. The leader is From Another Mother. It's From Another Mother, who approaches a quarter mile left to go. Optic Way is all in. Same can be said for Nolo Contesto, trying to rally a St. Andrews, but From Another Mother is trying to kick away. From Another Mother and Dylan Davis now up by 2.5 lengths. Now chasing still is St. Andrews, who's claimed second. Losing some ground, Optic Way. First Glimpse is diving down towards the inside. From Another Mother is approaching the 16th, has still got a 2.5 length cushion. It's From Another Mother. Going to take them almost all the way. From Another Mother wins it. St. Andrews second, First Glimpse, Nolo Contesto, and Optic Way. And 1:36 flat.
Slight second choice on the board at 7-5. From Another Mother with the win here in the second under Dylan Davis.
And he gets his first win in just over a year. The last one took place on June 9th of 2023, but Dylan was aggressive with him. You did have a pretty good pace in here, Andy, with Optic Way sending, and St. Andrews did kind of move up into that stalking spot. He just didn't have as much kick as From Another Mother late.
Well, I think when you're playing the other horse's game, it makes it a little bit harder. And From Another Mother was able to go fast here early, and I'm sure the track's playing pretty quickly, but still able to go fast early and still be able to finish. Whereas St. Andrews didn't break that sharply, not that badly. He ends up playing the game of From Another Mother, and he's just not as good at that game as From Another Mother is. So a decisive win for him. As no surprise, the favorites in reverse order running 1-2.
Ray Handel, Blue Lion Thoroughbreds, and Dylan Davis, the win here to start off this pick 4 at 7-5 against Second Choice on the board with the victory. 4th career win for this 5-year-old. And, you know, considering St. Andrews, that's kind of not his game. He ran pretty good here.
He certainly did. Yeah, certainly did. Once he was able to get out in the clear, and he kept on and kept running, which you appreciate. But it also has to be rewarding for a horse like this with From Another Mother. One that, yes, he always picks up a check, which is appreciated for sure for the connections. But it's nice when you see a horse like this break through and get that elusive victory if they've been right there knocking on the door.
Picture time for that man right there, Dylan Davis and trainer Ray Handel. We'll have the prices when we come back. We're going to step aside, look ahead to some more big turf stakes action before we head up to Saratoga. Turf Triple Series. And that man may have a big say in it. Charlie Appleby will send out Legend of Time. Grade 2 Pennine Ridge winner. Looking for more in the Belmont Derby. We'll have a preview ahead.
National
Welcome back to the program. It's America's Day at the Races, and we saw From Another Mother, the slight second choice here in today's second race. Get the job done for Ray Handel and Blue Lion Thoroughbreds. Please be joined by Dave Lyon and Ray Handel. And as you guys were just kind of lamenting to me, Ray, he's been in your barn for a long time. Claim today, though.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, bittersweet. I'm glad he went out to win. It's tough with these older horses when they run through their conditions and they're not quite, stake horses and allowance. So you just got to put them where they can win. And, at least we got to go out a winner today.
Yeah, absolutely. As he picks up his 4th career win, Dave, as you guys are also telling me, 30-way shake. Voided last time, minor issue, comes back today, though. So feeling like kind of sweet redemption. You get the win because finished 2nd last time too.
Yeah, no, he's just a hard-knocking horse, and he ran fantastic at Keeneland. Sometimes you're just the 2nd best horse. It was a minor thing, 30-way shake. We're glad to have him. We wouldn't be here without that voided claim. So, like Ray said, we're sad to lose him, but he's been such a good horse for us. Ray's been tremendous with him, put him in the right spots. We're thrilled to go out on top with him. 4 wins for this horse. We've had him his whole career. It's a blessing.
And Ray, you really kind of get to know horses when that happens at 5 years old. Do you find it easier to train them the longer you have them, or is it sometimes you have to get a little bit more creative?
Well, layered question, but for him, he's been really straightforward. He's been very sound his whole life, and he's been a real good boy. Like you said, when we cut him, he lightened up, so we changed some equipment on him, but he's always been really easy. Never missed a beat. Never had any issues. So it was fun. It was a fun journey for us, and I'm glad we went out with a win today.
Well, guys, enjoy it. You picked a glorious day to win on. From Another Mother, we'll be going to another stable tonight for dinner, but pleased to be joined by the winning connections here in the winner's circle, guys.
12 of his 25 career starts. He has been 1st or 2nd, including, is that a runner-up finish to who?
Mo Donegal, eventual Belmont Stakes winner. He was
Wow.
2nd to him when Mo Donegal
He had a big
broke his
lead.
maiden.
Mo Donegal ran him
Shout
down.
out to Andy for remembering that, by the way, because I had totally forgotten
Yeah.
that he was.
I don't think it was that big a price that day. It was like
He was 3-1
yeah,
that day.
Yeah. No, he had
Yeah.
a big lead in the stretch, and he
Yeah.
just got run
and
down.
then he ran in the Remsen
Remsen,
behind
yeah.
Mo Donegal and Zandon.
Off
He
to a
had-
new barn, though, after this performance got claimed. As we move on to race 3. And we'll be on the turf for the first time today. It's on the inner turf. Rails out 9 feet on the inner. New York bred allowance optional claiming field at a mile.
And I think by post time, Spooky Lady, the current 2nd choice, will be favored. She appears to be the controlling speed in this race.
Yes, she certainly does.
Yeah, very quick from that outside post. Well, more in this field coming up in just a little bit. Again, some very big turf races still to come at the meet this Saturday and then the following weekend as well. Here's a look at the schedule that remains in terms of stakes races. Saturday, July 6th. We should continue the fireworks because we have some very big ones with that Turf Triple Series kicking off with the Belmont Derby and facing Tipton Belmont Oaks. And a horse we talked about going to break, Legend of Time. Back for Charlie Appleby and Godolphin off this performance.
Yeah, he won the Pennine Ridge. He was 5th in the American Turf prior to that. And Andy, as you and I were talking about, and he got a great ride from Joel Rosario this day, waiting. And if he didn't get a spot to open up, you could have said, wow, it was just an unlucky trip for him. But he had run well in Dubai. And I do wonder off of his 2 U.S. races if he really is quite that good, as we know he's going to be a short price with the Godolphin Blue and Charlie Appleby.
And we'll give him a little extra credit here for closing into a very, very tepid pace, though he was able to save ground. But he's not very good, and he's flattered because so far the 3-year-old males are not as good as the 3-year-old fillies. The girls are better than the boys at this point. And he could always improve, and maybe a little more distance. It'll be a 1 3/16 when he goes in the Belmont Derby, 1 3/16, because we can't run a 1.25 miles here on the turf courses. But I don't think he's that good, and frankly, I think that Michael McCarthy may have the best horse coming into this race.
We're going to get to him in just a second. So in this race here, Legend of Time just getting by Chad Brown runner, who was coming off not the most inspiring maiden win. So not the biggest resume, but certainly from that barn, you expect them to improve and get another shot with that one as well. But speaking of the horse you just mentioned, yeah, a horse who's now going to be back on the surface he's meant to be on, you kind of can't blame connections. They got a little bit of Kentucky Derby fever.
Well, I have to say, he finished 9th in the Kentucky Derby, which was actually more than I had expected him to finish, but he's by Oscar Performance endlessly. He won the Jeff Ruby on synthetic. That was his only race that was not on turf prior to that. And Michael McCarthy had even said after the Jeff Ruby he'd rather run him in the turf Derby weekend.
Absolutely. He said he did not want to run the Kentucky Derby. He wanted to run in that American turf. And the way it played out, he probably should have been in there.
What do you get for 9th?
Oh, yeah, a lot less than you get for a win in a $500,000 race.
Right.
And I think he might well have won that race. No disrespect to you, Graham Motion, who won the race at 47 to 1. It's a pretty good horse, but he's a turf type, synthetic type runner, and I think he's getting back to the surface. And this is a division that's crying out for some pretty good players, and maybe endlessly will be the one.
Very precocious, the K-Shed show. And look, it's tough too. You can never say what you do in that situation. If you have a horse who's qualified for that race, just the spectacle of it, it's hard to not go. But this is where he's shown his talent.
I certainly understand that, but even just hearing his trainer's comments after the race, Andy, I mean, he is a turf horse, and Oscar Performance has turned out to be a tremendous sire. Yes, versatile, but more geared towards turf.
I agree. And listen, you're an owner and you spend the money, you have a right to have says, but the most successful owners are the ones that hire a trainer that they respect and are comfortable with, and they let the trainer tell them what they're going to do. And Michael McCarthy is one of the better trainers in this game. And it's not like Michael McCarthy doesn't want to win the Kentucky Derby. I'm sure he would love to win the Kentucky Derby, but he wanted to stay on the turf, and I believe in him.
It's amazing. I mean, with the ability this horse is showing all on turf as a 2-year-old, it's going to be his first turf start of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, the first really lucrative race is really that American, whatever they call it, at Churchill on Derby weekend. And then you get into our turf triple races. So the lucrative races really start with the Derby Day race. So there isn't, I get people experimenting a little bit. But then if it's not going to work out in the dirt, there are plenty of good races to go to.
And that's the nice thing about it. And it's no surprise, too, after the Kentucky Derby and running in a race that likely wasn't his preferred surface, you give him some time after that race and you wait for races like this. There's no need to rush to make some other sort of prep race. You wait for the big races, the big money races, and the turf triple opportunities.
It's coming up a week from Saturday, Belmont Derby, Oaks as well, as we get set for those turf triple series. Getting set to see Paul Lo Duca.
I'm excited about seeing Paulie.
Am I excited?
From Monmouth Park. He'll be ready to go shortly. We got a non-winners of 3 claiming race. Mile and 70 yards, the opener from Oceanport when we come back.
Liam's Map, a 2-time Grade 1 winner with 6 consecutive triple-digit buyers, including a 114 to win the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. He's already taking the lead as a sire with Grade 1 winners Basin, Wicked Whisper, Colonel Liam, and Juju's Map, plus multiple 6-figure yearling sales and 2-year-old sales up to $1.2 million. Proven on the track, proven in the sales ring. Liam's Map, only at Lane's End.
The Cross Country Pick 5 combines the best racing from New York with top races from around the country in one bet. Find it in your track menu and play every race day. Races are posted weekly at NYRA.com/crosscountry.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Gunrunner is the sire of 12 millionaires and 10 Grade 1 winners, including Gunpilot, Vava, Toyota Bluegrass winner Sierra Leone, Champion Echo Zulu, 2-time Grade 1 winner Cyberknight, 3-time Grade 1 winner Taba, track record setter Society, Locked, 2-time Grade 1 winner Gunna, and classic winner Early Voting. Hall of Famer Gunrunner, standing at 3 chimneys.
Breeding in New York State just got a whole lot greener. Starting in 2026 with 2-year-olds and expanding in 2027 to include 3-year-olds and up, New York breds on the NYRA circuit will be offered purses matching the race's open company counterpart. That's a nearly 20% increase per race compared to 2023. Bowling season is in full swing. There's still time to take advantage of New York's better than ever state bred incentives. Visit NYRA.com/NYBreds for more info.
Back with you on America's Day of the Races on our Fox Sports 2 coverage and our first look on this Friday afternoon. At Oceanport, New Jersey and Monmouth Park as they get set to kick off their card 6 minutes from the opener. Non-winners of 3 lifetime. The condition all for sale for $7,500 in this race. 1 mile and 70 yards. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the horses in this field between 5-2 and 5-1.
It's that kind of race, and your current 5-2 favorite, the 4 Run Corey Run, has not run since May of last year, and he's going all the way down from $100,000 allowance to $7,500.
Here's Hearts Beat Like Thunder from the inside.
Tries the dirt for the first time.
Cumberland Blues, Sammy Camacho rides.
Little dropping class, trying to turn things around. Used to show a little speed.
Run Corey Run, the one to beat, but been off for a while.
And a huge drop in class, definitely a little bit suspect.
Mixed Magic came in the clouds to win last start.
Moves up off a win last time. It's a big price.
That was at Delaware. Gonna be epic, 5-1.
I like the name. An epic win indeed it would be here.
El DeLeo, 1 for 13 lifetime.
Now this would be a massive upset to start their card.
And Code Enforcer for the Gregory Sacco barn on the outside.
3rd last time out. He's one that's been knocking on the door recently in his last couple of starts.
4 minutes to post in the opener. We start off at early pick 5 here at Monmouth, and we check in for the first time with Paula Duca. Hey, Paulie.
Hey, what's going on, Greg? Good to see you guys in the studios. Acacia and Andy, happy Friday to you. We got an 8-race card here on the Jersey Shore. Don't forget next weekend, too. We have 4 days of racing, starting with July 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. And then, gosh, we're only going to be 2 weeks away after that to the Haskell on July 20th. But on to race number 1 here. We need to try to get you started here in this early pick 5. And, you know, this is kind of a difficult race when you look at it because, like Acacia said, the 4's really hard to trust and Run Corey Run. But when you look at a lot of the horses in this race, and I'll start with the 1 in here, Robbie Falcone's horses have not run well here. I'll just be honest with you. He's 0 for 8, and they've kind of figured. You know, a couple of them have lost at 3-5 and 4-5. Now, this is a 4-year-old gelded son of Camelot Kitten, who's the son of Kitten's Joy, that, you know, tend to like the turf or synthetic, and this horse is going to try the dirt for the first time and is in for $7,500. But I want to caution, this horse was in for $8,000 non-2 and did get the job done. So is the dirt really going to move this horse up against a lot of these rivals? I don't know. Now the 2, Cumberland Blues, I thought he looked the best on the racetrack. He's won for 11 the last 2 years. But Wayne Potts is kind of having a slow meet as he clicks down now towards your favorite at 5-2. And, you know, a horse that is kind of been a little weird, you know, if you're going for a horse that's got the, I guess, the bottom, and what we mean by the bottom has like the condition underneath them and has racing underneath them, then maybe the 2 Cumberland Blues is the horse you want to go to. You know, I looked at the 6. I thought the 6 going to be epic with Matty Oliver. Looked tremendous on the racetrack too. So, but I'm going to land on Run Corey Run. I thought the horse looked tremendous. Jorge Delgado's having the best meet of all the trainers in here. And I hate to play the trainer game in this race, Greg, but I think this horse is going to control. And the fact that this horse 3 starts into his career ran 1 mile and 1/8, I don't think the 1 mile and 7 yards is going to be that much of a problem off of a layoff. I think he can get to the front end in here. And I just think he goes around the racetrack and wins this race.
This is one of the bigger drops you'll see on our program in class. I mean, Run Corey Run might just run circles around this group, even off the bench. We'll get back to that race to kick off that Monmouth card in a moment. It's back to Belmont of the Big A and on the turf for the first time on the Friday card, where the 2-1 favorite right now, Snowy Evening.
3rd choice in doubles. A little strange favor at this point.
Horse who should control to the outside, Spooky Lady. She's got sprint speed, and she's stretching back out.
And sometimes Spooky Lady is a little bit tough to trust. When is she going to show up and run her best races? But especially with the scratch of So Live in here, the job of Luis Rivera Jr. is simple. Go to the front with Spooky Lady. She's faster early than all of these horses. And while I certainly respect Snowy Evening, she can be a little bit pace compromised.
Spooky Lady runs her race 2 back. She's a cinch in this race. I try to beat her with Snowy Evening, but at comparable prices, I would bet on the 6.
Here's Arad Ortiz Jr. on Rebo's Valentine for Mike Maker.
Maybe this horse will show a little bit of speed. I just don't think that she's a turf horse.
Snowy Evening David Donk, Dylan Davis right now 2-1 favorite.
Should appreciate stretching back out, and it's her third race off the layoff as well. She ran against Tough Open Company to back her first off the bench.
Autumn Glory, she showed some talent early on in her career.
Yeah, but her last race, Lisa Me Desire, she stretches out. I just don't know if she's quite good enough. She could be a bit forward here.
Had a lot of stops and starts in her career as well. We go to the 5, Determined Lily. She comes in off back-to-back wins off the bench as well.
She feels like a last time was the time horse, and she beat an inferior field. To me, of the ones getting bet, she is the one you want to play against.
She was off from November to May. She won both those races. Spooky Lady, she should control.
Stretching back out in distance, she has that early speed. She is the controlling pace in here, and see if she can take it all the way.
And she becomes your 2-1 favorite for Rudy Rodriguez with Luis Rivera Jr. As we look back here at Rebo's Valentine. So Arad Ortiz Jr. on a 5-year-old mare is just getting the second career start on grass.
And it's interesting. She actually had the rail last time, Andy, and she broke okay. She was just totally out-footed, which is not uncommon in a sprint race, and then you see them stretch out, and they can be a little bit more forward. They are just a little bit more time to get into the race.
Right, but this is really a good example of how Irad gets bet. This horse had Dylan Davis, and this is a knock on Dylan. This horse would be 10-1 in this race right now. There's absolutely nothing in her PPs to suggest she's good enough to win this race. There's nothing to suggest she wants more distance. There's nothing to suggest she's a turf horse. If you like her, and you're right, you're supposed to get $21, not $10. And yeah, Irad's a great rider, but even Irad might go by and look at that board and say, I'm 4-1 here? And Paulie's horse just got loose at Monmouth, the 4.
Yeah.
So
Run Corey Run is now without rider. Jorge Vargas Jr. hopped off, tried to control the horse, and now it's up to the outriders. And that horse may wind up being a scratch. We'll keep you posted back in Monmouth. As we get another look here at the Speedster. Here in this third at Belmont of the Big A, Spooky Lady. And then the race 2 back makes her almost impossible to beat here, doesn't it?
The betting here is crazy. The 5 went to 7-5. This horse is supposed to be even money in this race, or 6-5. As she runs this race, she ran 2 back. Tax Implications, who finished second, just won a stake race at Monmouth with a mid-90 buyer. She didn't run that badly sprinting, and the truth is she's shown she can stretch her speed. I mean, there's just sort of wacky that she's not favored. I'm trying to beat her in here, but only because I thought she'd be even money, not because I thought she'd be 5-2. And she's a heavy favorite in doubles. This makes no sense at all what's going on right now.
Real quick, by the way, back in Monmouth, Run Corey Run has been scratched. So take out the 4 in the opener in Monmouth after that horse got away. We'll get you out there for that opener shortly. Still wow, it's going all over the place, this board. Determined Lily right now is the favorite to 5 at 6-5.
And she ran well last time, Greg, but prior to that, she was running for 25,000 non-winners of 2 type races at Laurel, and she didn't necessarily run over much faster last time out. I just wonder if she's quite up to par with these horses that she's facing as she comes out of that first level allowance condition.
That man right there, it is usually the case. Way over bet because of how much talent he has, how much he wins, and that's the case here again on Rebo's Valentine with Arad Ortiz Jr. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
Yeah, of course, 5-1's a little bit short on a filly who you don't know if she's really a turf horse, but Mike Maker and his crew are going to be back at it, but stretching out in distance. I will say this about Rebo's Valentine. She has been a mare now that never really carried that much conditioning. She always looked a little bit slighter in her frame, but of course now as a 5-year-old, she has every opportunity to really fill that frame out, and she has. So that's really good to see. This is by far the best she's looked physically overall. And while I know she did absolutely no running in that sprint, maybe she's worth a try here at a mile. Maybe she can kind of get into a rhythm a little bit better, because I will say this, she does have a turf hoof to her as number 3 in here, Autumn Glory. I'd be willing to give her another shot. I've always thought that going longer is better for her. So I think she's worth it. She looks fit, she looks ready to go, and she's not that nervous where she can be oftentimes prior to a race here today.
All right, Maggie, thanks. We'll get back to that race. We go to Monmouth again. Huge scratch here with the 4 getting loose. dumping the rider and coming out now. Run, Corey, run a scratch with that horse who potentially could have been forward in here. Who's going to be on the lead?
The one.
The one, definitely.
Wasn't she always going to be on the lead?
Hard Speed Like Thunder. First time on dirt with Jairo Rendon for Rob Falcone Jr. Matt Dinnerman, the call. Here's the opener from Monmouth.
Here's Code Enforcer. We're ready to go. We're off and running at Monmouth Park. Gonna be epic. Stumbled coming out of there after a couple strides. Code Enforcer was close in the first 16th of a mile. He takes back. Hearts Beat Like Thunder strides in front. Cumberland Blues takes the second position. Code Enforcer back in third with McMagic. LD Leo next in the second last spot. And gonna be epic. The gray horse takes a spot at the back of the pack on the rail, about 5 lengths off Hearts Beat Like Thunder, who leads the way at a slow gallop here. Hearts Beat Like Thunder with everything his own way on the lead. Hits the 3/4 pole, 1.5 in front of Cumberland Blues in the second spot. Then the pair of McMagic inside of Code Enforcer. LD Leo between that pair as they swing up the back stretch, and a 1.5 to Gonna Be Magic, who's at the back still with 5 furlongs to go. Hearts Beat Like Thunder still on top, 3/4 of a length. Cumberland Blues was close to him, but now he's taken back to second as Hearts Beat Like Thunder lets it out a notch, opens up a 1.5. Cumberland Blues in the second spot. McMagic shaken up from third on the rail. He's losing ground. Code Enforcer taking the second spot, and he's coming after the leader. Cumberland Blues tries to move with that rival. Hearts Beat Like Thunder now sent along to keep pace, and he just lost the lead to Code Enforcer and Cumberland Blues, who's keeping tabs with that rival. Hearts Beat Like Thunder down on the inside, just a half length back, but he's lost the lead to this point. Top of the stretch. Outside, it's Code Enforcer with the head in front. Cumberland Blues trying to move with him. Hearts Beat Like Thunder third to the rail. Then LD Leo with a furlong to go. It's Code Enforcer. He's a nose in front. Cumberland Blues coming back at him from the inside. Code Enforcer still with the lead close to home. Code Enforcer outfinishes Cumberland Blues to score. LD Leo was third. Hearts Beat Like Thunder faded to fourth.
Gregory Saccobarn of Mind Control fame, Code Enforcer to kick off the card at Monmouth.
And Greg Sacco, a mainstay at Monmouth Park, and this is a horse that's been knocking on the door in his last couple of starts. He was just kind of logical at this level, and once he made the move and was able, Andy, to pretty easily pass the pace setter, it did seem like he was going best.
Yeah, no, they were in a bit of a ding-dong stretch battle, but Code Enforcer proved best over Cumberland Blues. I'm going to send Matt Dinnerman a copy of Working Man's Dead.
Might have missed that one. Yeah, 8-2-7-1 in the opener of Monmouth. Code Enforcer wins at 9-2. Back to Belmont of the Big A and on the turf again for the first time today. And the 6, finally, the speedster Spooky Lady has become the 7-5 favorite, although not by much.
Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting board as far as how the race is being played, Andy. I just think with the scratch, Spooky Lady's supposed to go to the front and not look back.
I agree. I took a shot, and I'm happy to bet Snow Evening, and I did it 5-1. I'd like to know the thinking that Snow Evening is a bigger price than the number 1. Snow Evening has run well going long and run big figures going long. I mean, the one, if you want to bet her on a wing and a prayer, that's fine. But if you think getting $11 on her is getting paid, you're wrong.
There she is, looking to be in front from gate to wire under Luis Rivera Jr. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
And they're off. Good speed from Spooky Lady. Luis Rivera Jr. right to the front, and Determined Lily is going to apply some mild pressure with Autumn Glory, who is off a step slow but is rushing up on the outside. And Autumn Glory is out in the 3 path, wants to go. Jose Gomez is trying to slow her down, but she's going to hook up with the pace setter as Rank, and now she's bearing out. She's going to be about 4 in the 4 path there as these two go into that turn together. Spooky Lady, and now more settled, no, not quite as settled, Autumn Glory gets set to work to the backstretch, and now we got a pace stool on the front end. Modern fractions early, 25 seconds flat, but a pace stool now as Spooky Lady didn't want to go too quickly. Autumn Glory is going to push the tempo. Determined Lily and Trev McCarthy, they get the trip. They're right there sitting in third. They're 2.5 off this leading duo now that continue to kind of go back and forth as they work up the backstretch. Snowy Evening in the orange cap is moving nicely, is taken fourth. The trailer is Rebo's Valentine. It's now Spooky Lady, the favorite, trying to put away a stubborn Autumn Glory, who's back from war, and Autumn Glory is back to within a neck of the leader. Spooky Lady is going to hug the rail, 50.53 for that posted half-mile time. Determined Lily saving ground to the inside, and Snowy Evening starts to inch closer as well. From the back, Rebo's Valentine's got to pick it up from there as they get set to reach the top of the lane. Spooky Lady is set to cut loose. Determined Lily wants out of there. Tips out to the two path, is chasing the leader. It's Spooky Lady, maybe softened up by that early pace duel as Determined Lily is catching with every stride to the outside. Very game is Spooky Lady down towards the inside, but Determined Lily's right there. Snowy Evening is trying to catch them both at the line. Down to the wire. It's going to be Determined Lily to get the victory. Snowy Evening might have got second over Spooky Lady in 1 minute 38 and 3.
Determined Lily, Michael Trombetta, Trevor McCarthy, 3 consecutive wins now. And this speedster had unexpected company up front with a very rank horse.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say they didn't go that fast, so I don't really think the 6 had a major excuse here, to be honest, Occasion.
No, I agree. And she's the type of horse, Spooky Lady, that she wants to kind of nearly run off on the front end. And I think when Luis Rivera Jr. took a hold of her, she just didn't have quite enough in the stretch. And we talked about the betting. This horse, Determined Lily, was the one that was taking all the early money, opened up as the favorite, and she sat the right kind of trip. But yes, Autumn Glory, the 3, who was off slow, kind of rushed up and was giving Jose Gomez a really tough time. She's been keen before in her races, Greg. She's a bit of a quirky filly, as Maggie had alluded to prior, and he just couldn't hold her and get her to settle.
And Trevor gave this horse an absolutely perfect ride. He's been riding extremely well lately. And I know he's going to Colonial, I guess I read that, but he's been riding very well and gave her a good trip. Snowy Evening, I like to bet a horse like her at 5-1 every day of the week. You're going to make a lot of money at the racetrack. Just wasn't able to make up the ground and Determined Lily. And it's remarkable that this horse was the 2 was a bigger price than the 1.
Amazing. She ran very well, all things considered, the 2 Snowy Evening, too.
Just not able to get up, the slower pace, and just did her in. And, you know, Determined Lily was just a little bit more tractable.
Magic of betting on Irad Ortiz Jr. on this circuit. What happens? That's how much success he has, though. Determined Lily, 3 in a row. Meanwhile, back at Monmouth, Code Enforcer holds off the favorite for the win here at 9-2. Gabriel Maldonado, Gregory Sacco.
$11.80 winner. Yeah, a horse that just was logical. Was right there. The one, Hearts Beat Like Thunder, had everything his own way in the front end and then was passed. And this one traveling a little bit better in the stretch.
$11.80 for the win. We'll get to race 2 when we come back from a timeout. 3 in a row. Laurel to the bench, comes back, and now 2 in a row here in New York for Determined Lily. We'll be back.
Quality at his core.
And Core Beliefs will come on and win it nicely.
By leading sire, Quality Road.
And here is Core Beliefs to take the lead. Core Beliefs on the outside. Here it is. Core Beliefs.
All the best attributes of his sire. A multiple graded stakes winner who's proven at the classic distance with tactical speed and a must-see physical.
It's Core Beliefs who digs his heels in to win the New Orleans Handicap.
Core Beliefs, standing at Walmart.
Back in our Friday coverage on America's Day of the Races on Fox Sports 2. Thanks for being with us. Brought to you in part by Hill and Dale at Alapa, where the obscure becomes obvious. Race 3 in the books, and Determined Lily. 3 in a row now for Michael Trombetta and Trevor McCarthy. Winner Circle lead-in brought to you by Fasig-Tipton's July sales. Don't miss the July selected horses of racing age sale on July 8th and the July selected yearling sale on July 9th in Lexington, Kentucky. Where will you be? Sit downstairs, Maggie.
Pleased to be joined by winning rider Trevor McCarthy aboard Determined Lily today. And Trevor, it's kind of funny. For New York bred, she spent the majority of her career prior to going to Mike Trombetta outside of State Bred Company, and now she's 2 for 2 since facing them. She's really putting it all together.
Yeah, look, we worked out a really nice trip today. Last time, Mike told me just to be a little conservative off the layoff with her, and she exploded that last quarter of a mile. So I thought today, well, I could be maybe a little bit more aggressive, and there didn't seem to be much pace in here besides the favorite. So I just wanted to get a good break and make him earn it, and then kind of put the pressure on him. But when Gomez and Pat Quick's horse, they went out there and put the pressure for me. It wasn't a super fast pace, but I was able to kind of sit inside and just follow the favorite around, and I knew she'd always finish up strong, you know, so I had just the utmost confidence in her.
Now, as you just mentioned to me, you're happy that Solib scratched because you actually had the choice between riding Solib and Determined Lily. You went to Determined Lily, but explain your reasoning. There's more than just picking individual horses when it comes to choosing mounts.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I had won on this horse last time, and, you know, I'm going into Colonial, so I didn't want to upset Mike too much. He was leading.
Your main man.
Yeah, he was leading trainer down there last year, so I'm looking to ride for him this year down at Colonial, so I didn't want to upset him too much. And Solib is kind of a speed horse, and as she was stretching out to the mile, she ran a super duper race going 6 furlongs last time, and I kind of said, you know what, let me just stick with Determined Lily here, and fortunately it all worked out. Well, not for me, or for me it worked out, not for Tom, but.
Just a little foot, but congratulations here on Determined Lily, and we're gonna miss you.
Thanks, I'll miss you guys too, and I'll be back and forth. I'll be riding Saratoga Wednesdays and Sundays, so Katie and the baby will be up there, and she'll be kicking me out of the house for 3 days to go earn some money, so.
I was gonna say, are we gonna be neighbors again?
Yes, we are.
Oh, nice, I got my new neighbor, guys.
I got my babysitters.
We're sharing babysitters. Done deal. It's a good thing Trevor and Katie will be around in Saratoga. I'm happy about that, Greg.
You knew family would have a strong presence at Saratoga. That will be the case. And you know, he's made great strides since he's been here in New York. And one of the riders we talk about a lot, Andy, who's maybe the most in tune to how a racetrack is playing.
No, I agree. When there's a bias, Trevor's on top of it, sometimes faster than I am, and we'll talk about it a little bit. But, you know, I also think with Trevor, I think he's a terrific rider. When he had that accident last year, and unfortunately in no fault of his own, and broke his pelvis, that's a serious injury, and I think it was just very hard to come back from that. You know, you lose your momentum, you lose a lot of your business, and it's just, he never was able to get back in that groove he had, and it's very hard to do. In my opinion, he's a terrific rider, and always happy to see him on horses. He gives his horse the best chance. It's very competitive around here. I'm confident he will do extremely well at Colonial, and look forward to seeing him a couple days in Saratoga. He's a good guy, he's a smart guy, and a good rider.
And as he said, we're still going to get to see him a couple days of the week at Saratoga, and his wife will be riding there as well. We continue along, more coming up. We have a pick 6 ahead on the main track, another 1-turn mile, and more from Monmouth as well. Their early pick 4 when we come back. We'll get to race 2. Non-winners of 4 lifetime $8,000 claiming race, where current favorite, the 7, Predicted with Matty Olver.
Florida Derby. After 3/4 in 1:12-1, Known Agenda is now on to take over the lead. It's Known Agenda for St. Elias Stable. Florida Derby winner, Known Agenda.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with NYRA Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with NYRA Bets.
This proven son of Giants Causeway has sired 7 millionaires. With over 10% stakes performers, his recent top runners include Tarabi, placed in the Grade 1 Spinaway and Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, Grade 2 winner Plum Ali, plus these standout performers. A proven value sire, First Samurai, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Good to have you with us on our Friday coverage of America's Day at the Races. Live look there in the paddock at Monmouth as we get set for the start of the early pick four in this second race, approaching the 5-minute mark to post. And coming out for the post parade here in just a moment. Talked about the 7 being the favorite as we went to break. That is Predicted, who was just third at this condition last time out. Namesake, who this one will face again next door, finished ahead of that one.
Yeah, they're rematching in here. Now, you do have Predicted first off the claim for Jorge Delgado, who bats at a high percentage off the claim. I would imagine that's a large reason why we're seeing this one as the favorite over Namesake.
Agreed. Both are actually off the claim, but I agree with you.
All right, we're going to kick things off here in a minute with New York Panther for the Douglas Nunn Barn, who's been most recently pretty much exclusively on the grass.
Dropped significantly, though, into this race, and, you know, has run well enough on the dirt that is not impossible here.
Yeah, two-time winner on the dirt for New York Panthers. 7-1 right now. They're still making their way out onto the track.
Is he better on is he better on turf or dirt? It seems sort of vague. Maybe a little better on turf.
For what it's worth, a long time ago when he ran here, I wrote that he looks more like a turf horse. But at this level, who knows?
Yeah, some of his slightly faster races seem on grass.
No, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Capable, certainly on dirt. Next door, Aphie Kid at 5-1.
Yeah, this one comes out of that same race where Namesake and Predicted finished 2-3. He was a distant fourth, but does have some tactical speed.
Give it a go. We'll give a mile a go, stretching out.
Well, good luck to him. If you're betting, how is this horse 7-1?
Ugh. Candy Kingdom, 12-1 went by. Sorry, whoever had that horse. Here's Homeschool.
I didn't see what was so good about Homeschool except for a little bit of a drop.
Namesake was a 3-5 favorite against Predicted last time out. Did finish in front of that one.
And while Mario Soray's having a terrific meet, his numbers off the claim are not as strong as his chief rivals.
And can Predicted turn the tables?
I prefer Predicted in this race off the claim on the outside over the number 6. I was actually going to try to beat the 6 Namesake, who comes off the claim and lost at 3-5 last time. I was more into the 7 with the 1 and 2.
Rematch between these outside two horses, Paulie. What do you think?
Well, I think it's very difficult to gauge, right? You know, Jorge Delgado's just having a monster meet to start, and that first race obviously didn't get off to a great start as the 4 got loose on him a little bit. But when you look at between him and Namesake, how much is in between both of those horses? You know, Namesake's coming out of the non-winners of 4 and just missed at 70 cents on the dollar, but that was actually a legit bobble at the start. So, you know, Brad Thomas, who makes the morning line here, is usually very sharp. And, you know, the fixed odds on the 6 are going to probably stay right there, right about 2.5 or 3-1. So if you like Namesake, you're going to get that price. Now, Predicted on the outside with Matty Oliver, I would think it's going to push towards the front end. Obviously, a positive trainer change to Jorge Delgado, and the grade did look well on the racetrack, being a son of Tappet. You know, and my only worry would be, Greg, sometimes when you do the drop, and last time was the drop for the 7 and it didn't pay off, do you really want to go back and dip in there again on the 7 at 2-1? So, You know, the 6 and the 7 both got some question marks in here, and I kind of think, you know, the one New York Panther to me is very interesting. Douglas Nunn is a very good conditioner, kind of sneaky too. And I know this horse doesn't have a ton of races on the dirt, but does have 2 W's. I just do not trust the 6 or the 7 in here. Acacia said, you know, talked about the 5 a little bit, and then you have the 2 Claudio Gonzalez runners. You know what? I'm going to land on the 1 at 7-1. I just think you need to get a price. I do not trust the 6 or the 7 in here.
All right, Paulie, thanks. So 7-1. He'll go with New York Panther, and there is the 1 for Douglas Nunn. From that inside post, back to dirt for horses. Went over it twice. As we return to New York, and we got the start of the Pick 6 coming up in this 4th race. 1-turn mile, $25,000 claim. Everyone for sale for that price for horses who only have a maiden win on the resume. That's Andy Cant, who will cut back in distance and make the 1 1/8 maybe just a little too far for this horse last start, Acacia?
Yes, I do think so. He also was facing just tougher last time out as he'll drop back in from the starter allowance try to the non-winners of 2 condition. They claimed him for 20. Andy, when he won, he ran well in that subsequent start. Just think that this is the right spot.
Surface there, yeah, just beat Donegal Momentum yesterday.
He only got a 93 buyer in that win. Donegal Momentum lost yesterday, and he improved his buyer figure 1 point. And we talked about it in the show.
Race.
He didn't run badly. He just ran a horse that ran incredibly well.
So maybe something to think about when you look at Andy Cant.
The one thing I would worry about him, and I scratched into him, I was going to take a shot with the Chalky Cat in the outside for better or worse, is that he's 1 for 16 with 5 seconds, so he's not really a winning type. On the other hand, he wasn't supposed to win this race. He was almost 6-1, and I think Lucency was a fairly short price. He's the horse to beat. We ended up both picking him in here, Acacia. And, you know, you look at him in Ice Road. Well, okay, he's camera shy. Ice Road is worse. He's 1 for 22 with 8 seconds, and he has some losses. Ice Road's raced 2 back. I think, Greg, you liked him the day he raced 2 back, and you and I watched it. And I said to you, he's just a hanger, and he hung. That nose lost at 3-5 back on November 25th. Ice Road has lost some races that are almost impossible to lose.
8 runner-up finishes, yeah, and 22 starts, including that one you brought up at 3-5. Let's go down to Maggie.
Yeah, let's check in with your current favorite, Andy Cant, as he's a horse that I haven't seen since Linda claimed him, Linda Rice that is, and she's done very well with him, at least from a physical perspective, in that he was never one that looked that strong. You know, he always looked a little bit meager, especially across his top line, but Linda does what she does best, and that is put conditioning on horses. She feeds them as much as they can possibly eat, and it shows. He looks fantastic here, considering I haven't seen him since over the winter time, and definitely flattered by the winner of his last race, and running in a spot where at a level that he just seems to be very competitive. And furthermore, the turn back to the 1-turn mile, I think, should help him as well. So all things looking very good for your current favorite. As we'll check in with number 3, Endowed. As his form would suggest, he's kind of progressed nicely from each subsequent start now with Mark Hennig since coming back off the layoff. As Mark said earlier when he won today's first race in upset fashion, that Endowed is a bit of a heavier horse in that he's probably taken a while to get totally race fit. This is the most tucked up I've seen him, and I'm not sure he's a horse that totally enjoyed the wet surface last time, still running 3rd that day. So I think getting back to a fast track and possibly being the most fit that I've seen, he could be effective here. Obviously, Arad Ortiz gonna hurt your price.
All right, Endowed for Hennig had that big winner to kick things off at 21-1. Let's go back to Monmouth. Paulie, some final thoughts as we get set for the load here at Monmouth.
Yeah, guys, I just wanted to let you guys know, Gabriel Maldonado is off all of his mounts today. He was not on the winner in the first race. That was Carlos Rojas. He actually tested positive for a drug test in Delaware for an opioid. So our thoughts and prayers go out to a 25-year-old that has a ton of talent. Hopefully he can figure everything out. Now, the suspension has not been met yet, as in how many days it's going to be. But Gabriel Maldonado is off all of his mounts.
Loading up for race 2. Rematch again between Namesake and Predicted on the outside. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman.
Candy Kingdom goes in, and Homeschool Two back, Namesake, and the light orange cap. Predicted to the outside post. Here comes Predicted and Matty Olver. We're ready to go. And Leroff, home squad to take up coming out of there, was off a little bit sluggishly. Give it a go, goes towards the lead, now he takes back. Affy Kid in the middle of 3. Comes away with the lead here into the turn. New York Panther matching him on the inside, cuts the corner. He has a nose lead now. Affy Kid right there pressing from the outside, about 3/4 of a length back second. There's a gap of 2 to Predicted. Off the pace today, a little bit headstrong, tugging into the 3rd position. Give it a go alongside of him. Then Candy Kingdom, Namesake, who's second to last. Home School at the back of affairs. He's 5 lengths off the leader. New York Panther, who's on top by just a neck. Affy Kid right there to the outside. Predicted a lot closer now. Shown More Rain is now 3rd a length off the lead down the back stretch. Candy Kingdom racing inside of him. Give it a go now between horses. Namesake only 2.5 lengths off the pace, and another 1.5 lengths to the trailer Home School as they're tightly packed up into the 4-turn run. New York Panther being tackled now by Affy Kid, and there goes Predicted on the outside to come looking for the lead around the 4th turn. Predicted, Affy Kid, Predicted glides to the lead, and Affy Kid is behind in second now. Namesake is making a run into the 2nd position, is caught 3 deep, but he's moving forward with a 1/4 mile more remaining. Predicted, Namesake. Namesake on the outside with a big run, and he's up to take the lead away from Predicted, who's back in 2nd. Affy Kid alone in 3rd, and then comes Give It a Go about to pass him. Furlong to go. Namesake has gone on to open up the lead to 2. Now it's 2.5, and Namesake and Samuel Marin are going to win it. Namesake for Mario Saray Jr. wins it over Predicted, Give It a Go, and Affy Kid.
Namesake, again, best predicted, and this time he gets the win as well. 6-7-3 finish. Back to New York, pick 6 time. Here's our post parade. Fighting Back begins things. Brad Cox claiming off of Linda Rice.
Reclaim, different owner, but a reclaim on a horse that was terrible at odds on last time. Can he bounce back?
Andy Can't at 2-1 on the board.
Drop in class, and I just think back to the right spot for him. Rob Atras claimed him for 20 and for 25,000 today. Just makes sense.
Yeah, back to the right distance maybe too. Favorite with Kendrick Carmouche. Here's Endowed for Mark Hennig.
Mark's looking for his 2nd win. This one has Irad Ortiz, but he's going to have to improve to be able to win this race, especially if it's recent form.
Barnstorming, things did not go well as the favorite last start at the level.
No, they did not. He will try to turn things around, but tough to trust off that poor effort now in the Mike Maselli barn.
Off since April 19th, here's Ice Road. There was a little bit of second-itis we talked about.
Oh, he's got a little more than a little bit of that, and I also think it's a tougher field than he's faced.
Lucky Luke is the biggest price on the board by a long ways.
He actually ran okay last time with a pretty passive ride. Ruben Silvera climbs aboard. He's just stepping up in class to face these today.
And Speed outside with Bobby the Tank.
I've given up on him. He just doesn't have it anymore, but I agree, Greg. He is supposed to be in front in here.
Jose Gomez getting the opportunity for Linda Rice with this 8-1 shot. 4 minutes away from the start of this pick 6 on the Friday card. Naira Bets contests, in case you didn't know, they're back. Brought to you by Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. That's what it says on my promo card. But the contest, $300 buy-in, there it is. Cash and seat prizes. Registration accepted up to post time. To get involved, there's where you register.
I think you have to do the 3rd race to sign up for that as well. Yeah, those are fun contests. You play them through Naira Bets. And we have a bigger contest next Saturday for the Belmont Derby as well.
Akesh, I know you're looking from up here on a TV screen. I like the way this 2 looks. What do you think?
Yeah, he's warming up well. I mean, this is Kendrick Carmouche, and it's one thing that I love to see from Kendrick. He takes virtually every horse away from the pony, and I'm a fan of a good warm-up. I think it just plain and simple, it just makes sense to have your athlete be able to warm up. Now, some horses are quirky. They're better if you don't take them away from the pony. They're better if you try to keep them quiet. But I love that Kendrick is able to take a lot of his horses away, give them that good gallop, and then he gets them to come back to him nicely. It's kind of that patented warm-up right out of the post parade. And I just think that this horse is in the right spot. Rob Atras' horses often are very well turned out, too.
Yeah, he's the horse to beat. I mean, the only thing that bothers me about him is the 1 win, 16 starts in 5 seconds.
Let's go back to Maggie.
Yeah, my apologies to Linda Rice. Don't ask me what I was thinking earlier when I said she drained the 2. I was distracted. My friend Sarah Al-Badwi showed up in the paddock. So I'm thinking about Bobby the Tank, and then there's Andy Can. Anyway, Rob Atras, he's another guy that will get a horse looking as best as possible. And really, that overflowed to the racetrack as he just didn't even look as though he was hitting the ground. He was moving so well as I'm standing here and not having to watch it on a TV screen. But front row and center for how well number 2 Andy Cant is moving here. And we'll take a look at number 1 Fighting Back, Reclaim for Brad Cox. I've never seen this horse before, but really good energy. I mean, in the paddock and out in the track, he kind of busted away from the pony with Manny Franco aboard. Is Brad going to be able to resurrect this guy? I don't know, because his first 2 races for Linda Rice, they leave little to be desired. So I like what I see from him, but is he going to rebound? As we'll also take a look here at the current Linda Rice horse, and that's number 7, Bobby the Tank. I found it interesting that Linda chose to leave Bobby the Tank in, and she also had Chalky Cat. I don't know. Chalky Cat may have just not been right. She could have planned on running both of them. I don't know, because I thought Chalky Cat was a little bit interesting coming back off a little bit of a layoff here. But Bobby the Tank, he could be should be the clear-cut speed in here. And he was like a coiled spring. Jose Gomez took a double cross, 9-5 hold on him and buried his hands in his neck because he just was so strong away. A horse that does usually make a good impression, and last time was in a race where the pace came back and he was involved in it and won a winner coming from dead last that day. So really a really aggressive warm-up with Bobby the Tank today. Greg.
All right, thank you, Maggie. Bobby the Tank, 13-1 outside. A horse who's going to be forward with Jose Gomez.
I've tried this guy in the past. I just don't think he's competitive anymore. It's been a long time since he's never really run a race that's supposed to be good enough to win this race, to be honest with you.
And the thing about him, too, is that he was running for 40,000 and he dropped down for the 25 last time, and you just did not see any improvement with running against some softer competition.
No, listen, I liked him 2 starts back. He was able to get the lead, and he just wasn't good enough to get it done. And I've just sort of given up on him being competitive here. I agree he's the speed, but just being the speed isn't good enough. I mean, the 1 Fighting Back is the most likely horse, in my opinion, to beat Andy Cant, since Ice Road just never really wins. But Fighting Back, and listen, he had good form for Brad Cox. Now, he was known by Gary Mary West. Now he's been claimed by Sandy Goldfarb. But he was bad last time, and I don't think you claimed him out of that race expecting him to run as poorly as he did.
And you see the short comments at awkward at break. It almost looked like he kind of lost his hind end out from underneath of him at the start of the race, and he just never really was able to keep up.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like anything's particularly happened. He just and he sort of sat behind horses and ran in place the whole way, and I don't think that was a particularly strong race, to be honest with you. If Andy Cant runs his race, I know he's 6-5. He runs the race he ran 2 back. I don't see how he loses this race, but once again, you're talking about a 6-5 shot with 5 seconds and 1 win and 16 starts. But he's only been in Rob Atras' barn for 2 races, and I think you could argue his race 2 back might have been the best race he ever ran.
And that was against 40 non-winners at 2. Trying to do it against 25 non-winners at 2 here. 6-5 for momentarily dropped to even money. See what happens when the gates open. There's Fighting Back. So off the claim. Now in the Brad Cox barn, there's your favorite. Pick 6. Starts here, back to even money for that horse, the 2 with Kendrick Carmouche. Let's go to Chris Griffin to get us started.
Barnstorming steps forward. Ice Road 2 out. Lucky Luke and Bobby the Tank. Bobby the Tank steps forward and in. All set. And they're off. Off a step slow was Endowed, the early trailer. Bobby the Tank sprints right to the front, and Bobby the Tank breaks nicely, is quickly up by a length and a half, and crosses over in front of the field. A clear leader, Bobby the Tank and Jose Gomez. Now switching to the outside, Andy Cant is going to stalk. Just right off of this pace setter as they come out of the chute. Down at the rail is Fighting Back, who's now a challenging third. It's right there moving with. Out in the center of the racetrack comes Barnstorming. That's the leading quartet. They're followed by Endowed, who's trying to make up some ground here, as move towards the inside here of Ice Road and the trailer. Lucky Luke. They work up the backstretch, 21.37 for that opening quarter mile. Bobby the Tank is moving right along. It's Bobby the Tank who's up by a length. Andy Cant, the favorite, is stalking here from second, and now here comes from third. It's Fighting Back who switches to the outside into the three path, 44-3 for the half-mile time. Trying to keep up still there as Barnstorming is under drive, not making up ground, is now being passed to the inside here by the tandem of Ice Road, is right there with Endowed, and still the trailer, Lucky Luke. They're approaching a quarter mile left to go. Bobby the Tank keeps moving right along. It's Bobby the Tank who approaches a quarter mile left to go, has gone quickly, 109 flat for 3/4. Bobby the Tank, Andy Cant with every chance, and here comes the run from Fighting Back down the center of the racetrack as Bobby the Tank is now giving up the lead, is back to third. It is Fighting Back who's battling on here with Andy Cant, a clear second, is trying to come back on the inside. Fighting Back is trying to edge clear late, is doing just that. It's Fighting Back, Andy Cant. It's going to try one more time, but Fighting Back is too good. Fighting Back wins it over Andy Cant, Ice Road, and Bobby the Tank. Get 1 minute 35.50 seconds.
Fighting Back, this horse improved. First off the claim for Brad Cox to deny Andy Cant. It was an even money favorite.
And I always take a look at reclaims because I think it's intriguing, especially for a guy like Brad Cox who doesn't claim a lot. He obviously claimed this one for Sandy Goldfarb, a different owner, but there were questions off of such a disappointing effort. But I think Andy, when he was able to get into the race a little bit better today and able to kind of be in that perfect position with the pace that was set by Bobby the Tank, he was able to pounce and fight and live up to his name.
No, I mean, he was. Manny was very aggressive to ride him into that spot. And I thought the two was going better than he was. They're going around the turn, but Andy Cant found to finish where he likes to finish. Now he has 6 seconds in 17 starts, and Fighting Back bounced back from that bad effort last time to run a much better race.
1, 2, 5, 7, another even money favorite defeated. This pick 5, if you're still alive, moving into the last leg and looking awfully good. Good luck to everyone who still has a chance at it. Fighting Back, second win of this 4-year-old's career. Manny Franco the victory. Prices when we come back. Outduels this short price favorite to the wire for the win here in the 4th to kick off the pick 6.
Introducing a stallion, as top class as they come. In 22 career starts, he won or placed in 12 graded stakes, competing in 15 grade ones, earning over $1.7 million. His undisputed speed is evidenced by 7 100-plus Beyer speed figures, a 3-time grade 1 winner, Raging Bull.
Thanks for being with us on our Friday coverage. Pick 6 underway here on our Friday coverage here at Belmont at the Big A, and Fighting Back denies an even money favorite to win. Reclaim for Brad Cox at 3-1.
Yeah, and he lived up to his name fighting today, but Manny Franco made a difference too, being aggressive with this horse to get him into a good spot early.
No question about it. And if people saw the posted times, they can't be right. They obviously didn't go 21.37 for the first quarter in there, and wondering if the entire timing of the race is inaccurate. We'll try to get to the bottom of that.
Fighting Back, first win and only win since that maiden 50 victory at Churchill back in September as a 3-year-old. When with Brad Cox and then claimed away. Brad takes him back, gets the win. We'll see if this one stays in his barn. Try and get that information for you. Fighting Back, Andy Can, Ice Road, 1, 2, 3. Ice Road, not second this time, winds up third.
He found a horse that also just like to win in front of him.
Once again.
You like to have horses like that in your barn. Keeps picking up checks, no question. 5th race starts the late pick 5. 6 furlong sprint, New York Bred's first allowance condition. And Big Prankster for the Christophe Clement barn, getting back on dirt where the horse broke his maiden on a wet track.
I'm a little surprised that he's the favorite over Apollo Code. I guess the question with Apollo Code is, can he repeat those types of races that he ran in claiming races against this tougher New York Bred company?
I agree. I think both you and I are against the number 3 in this race, Big Prankster. I'm just not sure he's that good in the dirt, especially. We both like Agalos the Great, just a small upset.
More on this one in a moment. Let's look ahead again to next weekend. We talked about the boys in that Turf Triple Series in the Belmont Derby. What about the Oaks? Fasig-Tipton Belmont Oaks for 3-year-old fillies in the first leg of that Triple Series. Coming up on Saturday, July 6th as well. And Chad Brown will send out dynamic pricing, who's coming off a victory in the Grade 2 Edgewood at Churchill Downs.
And as Andy mentioned earlier, definitely this is a filly who has taken a big step forward, and the fillies overall, as far as the 3-year-old turf picture is concerned, significantly tougher competition versus what we're going to see for the boys. And this one, definitely a piece of it. And there she is on the outside, Andy, grinding away, and she's able to run down the horse that she beat, that B. Wait to be Marie.
No, she had run very well when she broke her maiden first time out on Breeders' Cup weekend here at Aqueduct. And then she ran an exceptionally good race in her second start at Gulfstream, where she really had a lousy trip that day and finishing a narrowly beaten 3rd. Then I don't know what Jose Ortiz was thinking down at Tampa, but you're not supposed to be last with her early, and she just never had a chance to get in the race. Well, Irad got her much more into the race in here, and she showed she could deliver there. It's going to be a competitive race. I think what's going to happen is you're going to have to ask yourself which one of these horses you're confident are going to do better stretching out more. That was a mile and a 16th, mile and 3/16 for the Belmont Oaks, but dynamic pricing off that race has to be considered a major player.
Yeah, meanwhile, Cherie DeVoe, she feels pretty, looked very strong going into the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf, and actually ran a very good race as she went off the favorite at 7-2 that day, comes back in her 3-year-old debut and runs another big one.
I think that she was best in the Breeders' Cup that day, as she had a tough trip. She comes off of the win last time out in the Hilltop. Yes, it was definitely softer competition, but I think after such a tough effort, a big 2-year-old season, Cherie DeVoe wanted to get her a win, coming back as a 3-year-old, and she did win like a heavy favorite was supposed to, setting her up potentially for some nice efforts throughout the rest of this year.
Oh, this horse is good. I agree. I agree with you about the Breeders' Cup. She was best that day. She's a very nice horse. We'll see if she's more effective or as effective going the longer distance as well, but she's terrific, this horse.
Coming up a week from Saturday, that Turf Triple Series for both the boys and those 3-year-old fillies. We look forward to it on Saturday, July 6th. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back more from Monmouth and our Belmont at the Big A card, late pick 5 ahead. Meanwhile, at Monmouth, race 3 approaching the 5-minute mark to post. Be on the turf for the first time in New Jersey next.
He possessed such natural athleticism.
It is Golden Pal winning the Juvenile Turf Sprint.
He's very, very agile and quick.
Golden Pal has repelled the challenges.
Each and every race, he just got better and better.
Golden Pal broke like a rocket. Golden Pal, wire to wire.
He's a very confident horse.
Golden Pal, the lead is out to 5 lengths in deep stretch.
He's just got a brilliant mind.
They're all behind Golden Pal.
I'm going to be breeding everything I have to him.
The nation's #1 Horses of Racing Age sale. Over the last decade, this sale has produced earners of more than $88 million. Top grads include recent graded stakes winners Newgrange and Fort Washington, Grade 1 winners Atone and Stiletto Boy, and Breeders' Cup champion Wavell Avenue. Fasig-Tipton July selected horses of racing age, July 8th in Lexington, Kentucky. Where will you be?
Charlatan is back, and he turns it on with 1/8 of a mile to go. Express Train moves into second. Nashville dropping out of it, and then Collusion Illusion. What a spectacular return for Charlatan, who will romp in the run-happy Malibu Stakes by 4.5 emphatic lengths. Charlatan, ultra impressive.
It's a new day for a new king.
New York breds. Race them.
Respect them.
Bet them.
Respect them.
Breed them.
Respect them.
Buy them.
Respect them.
Train them for a second career.
Respect them. Join us in respecting thoroughbreds at every stage of life. Learn more at nybreds.com.
Back with you at Monmouth Park as we get set for race 3 on this Friday card. And we'll be on the turf for the first time in Oceanport, New Jersey. Mile and a 16th on the grass. $16,000 condition claiming race. As we kick things off with Subway Susie.
Interesting horse off the claim trying the turf for the first time. There's plenty of turf on the dam side.
Isaac Castillo. It's Dan Ward off the claim. Here's the 2. Single Barrel Bourbon.
Yeah, reclaim on the 1, actually. Single Barrel Bourbon. This one got back onto the turf against Tougher last time out.
Blinkers going on, isn't she cozy?
Why is this horse 5-1 and not 20-1 in this race based on her PPs?
Holy Berries 14-1.
Yeah, this one just looks way too slow.
Sister Nell, trained by Jose Jimenez.
She came from very far off of it last time out. She's often pace compromised.
Apatia at 12-1.
Apatia?
Apatia?
Okay. I don't know.
Acacia?
Also looks a little slow.
Capture this, big price.
Yeah, stretching out and back to the turf. She does have some speed.
And a win on the grass to break her maiden last time out. She won by 3.5 lengths. Butterfly Queen.
Trainer looking for back-to-back wins. She's logical off that maiden win.
Also eligible, gets in, Collective Gold.
Yeah, this horse just looking to turn things around. It's been a little while since she's shown a ton on the track.
Do you want to bet the horse in the rail occasion, the turf for the first time?
I do.
I kind of
do. The Dam was a 4-time turf winner, and we just saw a reclaim win. There's another reclaim. Dan Ward had her back in May.
Meanwhile, this horse coming off that victory, one of the key players, Butterfly Queen. With more, let's get Paulie's take.
Well, you know, when you look at Butterfly Queen, she's obviously the most recent winner, obviously, and it took her 10th career start to get the job done in the Marius Suri barn, and it was a 7th start on the turf. And when you watch this race, there was like 5 or 6 horses lined up around the racetrack, and this horse kind of just exploded in the middle with Jorge Fernandez aboard. And you know, sometimes you look at these races and she's a 3-year-old filly, and you're wondering to yourself, okay, maybe she's improving. Like I said, I'm not a fan of horses that try winners for the first time, but maybe in this group she could fit in here. And I think she's one of the ones off this win last time, an open length win. And sometimes when you break your maiden on an open length win, that can bring you a ton of confidence. Now, I'm in agreement with you guys on the 1. I mean, Dan Ward reclaim. Usually when Dan reclaims, he reclaims with a purpose. Now they're going to try the turf. And there is some pedigree there. Another 3-year-old with some upside here at 5-2. You know, I landed on the 6 in here, and I know Sister Nell hasn't won in a couple years, but she's got the best numbers on turf. And like Keisha said, she is very pace compromised. I think Fernando Jara fits her very well. I think he can get her out of the gate and maybe get her involved. Last time when Castellano was aboard, Javier, she kind of fell asleep in the gate, and I'm hoping that she breaks a little better today. And at 7-2, I'll take my chances there. I know she hasn't won in a couple years, but I think she finds the right group in here. And Andy, I think the reason why the 3 is getting the money is I don't know if they could figure out. I understand Holy Berries has got speed. I would think they're thinking the 3 is the other speed threat in here.
What about Capture This stretching out? she's got to have speed in here. I don't see the 3 being forward at all.
Well, she
Blinkers
used to wear
on.
cheek pieces, and now she has blinkers back on. So I know how you feel about that.
My problem with Isn't She Cozy is not she can't get the lead in this race unless she's going way too fast, based on the PBs of the other horses, is where's her race where she's done a stitch of running? That's my problem with her. I mean, you want to bet her 20-1, go ahead. But
I think
listen,
a good chance the 2's going to be forward, too. I mean, that horse we know is quick.
I would never bet the 1 at 5-2. I'm not going to bet a horse trying the turf for the first time, and they're betting this horse off the big 79 buyer figure last time, which is completely random compared to her other numbers. If she didn't have that race, I might take a shot at her 10-1 that she'd improve on the turf, but to take her at a short price on a surface she's never tried before, that to me seems like a mistake, pedigree or not.
And one thing I will say about the 2, Single Barrel Bourbon, at a generous price, she's 11-1. She faced tougher New Jersey bred company last time out, and I know that the last time she was in for a claiming race on the turf at the Meadowlands, she didn't do much running, but her first time running for a tag with Kent Sweezy, and she has speed.
She's 1 for 23, but I agree. She's a horse before, and she's run well enough on the turf that 11-1. Put it this way, she's 11-1, and the 3 is 6-1.
Right.
Feels to me if you could bet them heads up, you would be happy to bet at even money.
Right.
61 buyer for the 2 Single Barrel Bourbon when she broke her maiden.
60 in her next start in defeat. I had good points, Acacia. I agree. This horse an overlay at 11-1 right now. Now she isn't supposed to go down that much. I'm looking at the fixed odds. You never know about late flashes, but the horse that to me is just ridiculously overbet is Isn't She Cozy.
That's the 3. We'll see how she fares going long on the grass for the first time. Favorite remains the Rail, getting on the grass for the first time. See how forward she is. Been quick on the dirt.
I think there could be some pace in this race, honestly. I mean, the pace projector from Timeform US has this a fast pace with both the 5 and 8 being forward. So I think they could be moving a little bit up front here.
The 6 Sister Nell would love a fast pace.
Yes, she would. She is slow early. She's a player in here.
Yep.
But why is she 5-2 and the 2 11-1?
Right.
1, 2, 5, and 8 all potentially could be part of things early. We'll see what happens. Here's the 3rd from Monmouth, Matt Dinnerman, the call.
The rider hopped off number 3, Isn't She Cozy, was a little bit restless in there. Now Collective Gold is about to take her spot. We're ready to go. And Laruff. Holy Berry's out alertly and is on the lead today in the early stages. Isn't She Cozy has more run, though, in the early part. And Isn't She Cozy comes out of the chute and sprints away to a 3-length edge. Holy Berry's happy to track from second with Subway Susie. Single Barrel Bourbon is 4th in a strung-out group in the first quarter mile. Capture This is next in the field. Hepatia and Butterfly Queen, they're side by side. Collective Gold has 1 runner beat. That's Sister Nell, who's at the back well behind, but has a fast pace to chase. Isn't She Cozy wings it on the lead, has taken a hold of the bit. Isn't She Cozy by 5 approaching the backstretch run. Holy Berries is about 3 lengths ahead of the 3rd place runner Subway Susie. 1.5 lengths to Single Barrel Bourbon. Then comes Capture This, Hepatia, Butterfly Queen. They're side by side, and Sister Nell's now even with Collective Gold. Collective Gold shuffled to the back as I say that. Down the backstretch they go. Isn't She Cozy? No turning back for her. The leading margin has decreased. It's 2.5 lengths. Holy Berries right behind chasing second. A gap of 3 to Subway Susie, pushed upon a little bit, approaching the 4-turn run. Butterfly Queen is getting going from the back of the field. Butterfly Queen into the 3rd position, making up good ground. She catches the eye, and Jorge Hernandez is riding her very confidently here. Butterfly Queen moving up nicely, needs to reel in Holy Berries, and Isn't She Cozy? Isn't She Cozy after the fast pace? It's taken its toll. Butterfly Queen on the outside is run by Holy Berries, and she goes to the front. Now Single Barrel Bourbon diving to the rail now and tries to kick on in the final furlong. Butterfly Queen in front, and she's got a kick for the final furlong. Opens up 2.5. Butterfly Queen to score off the maiden win a week and a half ago. Single Barrel Bourbon was second. Sister Nell from the back gets 3rd, and Collective Gold was 4th.
Butterfly Queen started out 0 for 9, now back-to-back wins on the grass and single barrel bourbon. That too. The price winds up second. Paulie was right about the pace in here. That
Yeah.
three
He was correct.
opened
He
up
was.
on this field. Nothing late though.
Yeah, that was a little hard to keep her going at 22.06 first quarter. Great call by you, Acacia, on the two. Single barrel bourbon, who did well run second at a big price.
Yeah, she did. Came back, actually, too. Kind of re-rallying inside, which is tough to do.
It looked like, I mean, she kind of dropped off when the 9 was rallying between horses. I don't think she got, she stayed out or anything, but it did seem like that horse got away from her. She did run well. Good ride, too.
Back-to-back wins for Mario Saray, too, on the last race.
So Butterfly Queen, daughter of Omaha Beach. Back-to-back victories on the grass. Jorge Hernandez. Welcome those who've just joined us on Bally Sports SoCal San Diego. Those already with us on FS2. Good to have you with us for this Friday coverage. As we get back to New York, in the late pick 5 starts in this 5th race. 6 furlong sprint, New York bred, first level allowance race. New Solo's Fury for the 3-year-old debut.
Yeah, I just don't know where the races are to even improve on last year to make her competitive.
Back-to-back wins for Apollo Code, both at Monmouth.
He's been very fast in his last 2 races, but he was running for 7,500 2 back. Now he has to face tough New York bred allowance company. Can he repeat those efforts?
Big prankster for Christophe Clement, back to dirt.
Goes turf to dirt. His last win was on the dirt, but he took advantage of big bias that day. I think he's horribly overbet.
On the hill, interesting. Second back off a long layoff.
And it's good to see him stay on the track, as he has had some gaps in his form, but he ran quite well last time out, finishing 3rd.
Agalos the Great, George Weaver trains.
I thought 2 back, this horse was on a rail that may have been bad. Lasix for the first time as a 3-year-old. Ran well enough as a 2-year-old. I like this horse's chances.
And Romero Mirage on Rock the Weekend outside.
He's a horse that has some good races. Can he find one of those in this spot? He didn't run that badly in that last race.
That's your field for this 5th. Again, to kick off the late pick 5. Let's go back to horse trying to win 3 in a row. And there he is, Apollo Code. Both those wins against softer condition claiming company at Monmouth on a wet track, then did it on a fast track. Got a big Beyer speed figure in the most recent win on that fast going.
It's just very hard to read this horse and see how he stacks up against this company. He broke sharply and used the pace 2 starts back. Last time, he wasn't the quickest out breaking from the rail that day, and he was settled, kindly stalking, and then took over and was much the best. But as I mentioned, running for 7,500 2 back, and I just want to see him repeat it against this type of company, Andy.
I agree. Now, he's favored, and I believe he should be favored.
Yes, he should.
Because he ran a big figure last time, and the figure is what it is. But you kind of wonder if coming to New York, he's going to be able to reproduce those efforts from out of town. But if he does, he's going to be tough. When he was running against New York breds last year, he wasn't competitive with these when he ran in New York. We'll see if he does it. I'm not against him. I'm against Big Prankster, for better or worse.
That's Big Prankster, the 3 for Clement. Here's the 5, though, Agalos the Great. And this is the 3-year-old debut coming up for the George Weaver runner.
And you would expect to see some progression in his Beyer speed figures from 2 to 3 as well. So he'll make his 3-year-old debut here, but this is his race in the notebook 2 starts back when he was trying to come up the inside. And some horses are fine coming up the rail and in tight spaces like that, and some just find themselves in a very compromising position. And Andy, you had mentioned too that you thought that was not a place on the racetrack that you really wanted to be. So I don't think you can be tough on him because, A, that's not an easy position to be in anyway.
I agree with all of that, and there's a real argument that the rail was not the best place to be. And the horse who won the race, Works For Me, came back and won with a 91 Beyer yesterday, running down excellent meeting. And so these 2-year-olds can improve. I mean, the horse can improve dramatically from 2 to 3. And this is a horse that ran a 73 Beyer in his second start. That could easily be an 85 Beyer, 82 to 85 Beyer in his next start. And that gives him a chance to compete with Apollo Code, even if he can reproduce his last race.
Manny Franco back aboard. Maggie, what are you seeing with Agalos the Great?
Really, really pleased with what I see from Agalos the Great, a horse that he was probably my favorite 2-year-old New York bred that we got to see last year because he was just so impressive looking. Well, he's impressive looking yet again. You know, he was that big, tall frame of a horse and was quite big against his fellow 2-year-olds. Well, he's big against his fellow 3 and now 4 and 5-year-olds too that he faces here coming back. He's strong. He's ready to go. He did get a touch warm. Again, it's not warm today. It's just the most perfect weather you could possibly ask for. So that sometimes is an indicator of a horse needing a race, at least just from my years of doing this. But he is defined. I do like what I'm seeing from him. And on top of all that, I've just been a fan of his throughout his brief career so far. As we'll check in with another one who is making his 3-year-old debut, and that's number 1, Solo's Fury. He wants no part of going long. This is an out-and-out, tried-and-true sprinter. He is built downhill, elevated hindquarters. He has not grown much, though. He's filled out, which I respect, and if anything, he's stronger behind. So after a troubled trip, very troubled trip, completely eliminated after contesting that pace in the New York Stallion Series, we saw him take a break, and now he's back at it here for Jeremiah Englehart, who is enjoying a very fruitful meet here with limited starters. He brings another one, though, looking as though he's ready to go. He'll apply those shortcut cheater blinkers as well as getting Lasix, and he could work out to be the lone speed in here from the rail. As number 3, Big Prankster, I'll go to number 4 next, On the Hill. He's kind of the older statesman in this group where we have these kind of exciting 3-year-olds coming back. But On the Hill, let's not forget about him. And as I talked to Kendrick Carmouche when he won with Cut the Cord yesterday, a horse that he's very familiar with, he only rode On the Hill for the first time in his last start. It always helps when Kendrick knows horses. And I think Kendrick's going to be a little bit more aggressive with this guy, who I think just got steady back to last early and traveled wide. He circled up on the turn just to come up a little bit short. Roland Landau, very competitive and game to the wire that day. So On the Hill, as Keisha said, kind of pairing races up back-to-back, though it has, it's been a month and a half since we've seen him. I still wish he looked a little bit more tucked up, but doing all the right things, and I like that Kendrick sticks for the 2nd time in a row. Now, number 3, Big Pranksters, you guys were talking about. I'm kind of against him too, because I'm going to venture to say that he might be a little bit more of a turf horse. It's too short of a price in a field that I think is loaded with horses with upside. And on top of that, whereas many of these have gone on from 2 to 3, I just don't think he has physically. He definitely has mentally, is a far more mature mental athlete than what he was in his juvenile season. But at a short price, no thanks, Greg.
9-5 favorite despite all that, with Big Prankster getting back to dirt. And, back to On the Hill, the 4. You look at some of the horses he's faced. It's a lot better company than a lot of this field. Today's Flavor, Defusky Island, Dots Dollar.
He's obviously, though, a horse who's had a lot of issues because he's been harder to keep on the racetrack. As we were talking about earlier, he's pairing up starts. So at least he's showing that he's informed to run, and I do think he's a player in here. I think that both the 4 and 5, I don't like the 3. I do think the 2 is the horse to beat in this race, Apollo Code. Having said that, I want to see him do it in New York, and I think the 4 and 5, particularly the 5, are the best alternatives.
As far as On the Hill, too, quickly, he was a horse that last year and the year before, he'd had some times where he just wouldn't switch leads, and he wouldn't be kind of the smoothest mover throughout the running of his race. And coming back, while he was wide, as Maggie mentioned last time out, thought that he was moving well, and he did that race in a good fashion. So coming back here, he certainly could move forward second off the bench, as seems that Solo's Fury pretty sharp at the gate, not wanting to go in.
I wonder if he's been working well or something, because it doesn't make any sense that he's only 7-1 in this race. I mean,
I agree with you.
I'm not saying he should be the rank outsider, though I actually think Rock the Weekend is a more likely winner than he is in here, the number 6. I don't understand why this horse is taking money.
He would need a massive move forward if the other competitors run close to what they've run to.
Any of them show up, right. It's not that he's got 1 or 2 horses to beat. There's 4 or 5 in this race in the 6-horse field that appear to be better horses than him.
2 about to step in. Can he transfer that Jersey form here to New York and make it 3 wins in a row?
Why didn't we claim a New York bred with conditions for $7,500? Acacia. You know, you could
nice
have gotten
miss
your
there,
husband.
Keisha.
I'm going to call
should've
Miguel
done
and tell him
that,
you really
should've
missed
done
that one.
I will just mention quickly about Big Prankster, though. The race that Instamatic won the other day, he was not able to get in the race because Dean Reeves also owned that one. So looking for other options of where to run him. He's run well on the dirt. Find another spot for him.
It's not wrong to find out early in the year if he can run competitive in the dirt, and then if he can't, you go and look for turf races. I mean, there's reasons you run in races. You always want to win, but sometimes you want to find out.
Yep.
Only time he's been on a fast dirt track was the second start of his career back as a 2-year-old. We'll see what he does. Joel Rosario on board for Clement. We're set for the late pick 5. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
All set. And they're off. Good speed from Agalos the Great, right out towards the front, and has company from Big Prankster and Joel Rosario, and about to split them is On the Hill. 3 across the racetrack in the early stages. Down at the rail comes Solos Fury, is now a shared 4th. As to the outside is Apollo Code. The trailer rocked the weekend. A pressured pace early as Big Prankster's 8-5 is now put ahead back in front. Right to the outside is On the Hill with Kendrick Carmouche, and these two into the turn together. Agalos the Great broke with the leaders, but is now trying to rally on from third. Rock the Weekend is progressing nicely to the outside of Apollo Code, and the trailer tailing off there was Solos Fury. They're approaching a quarter mile left to go. Big Prankster still trying to dispatch of On the Hill, who comes right back towards the outside. These two head and head. Agalos the Great broke on top, is trying to catch these leaders now, and Agalos the Great is in full pursuit, just on the wrong lead, but now picks up some momentum. It's still down towards the inside. Big Prankster with On the Hill, and they continue to duke it out. Can Agalos the Great push on by? 3 across the racetrack here inside the final 16th. Agalos the Great, On the Hill, now down to these two. Agalos the Great gets the victory. Agalos the Great wins it over On the Hill, then came Big Prankster and Apollo Code in 1 minute 10 and 1.
Agalos the Great, not the most fluid of strides, but gets the win here.
I was afraid he was going to bite the horses when he went by him, the way he was holding his head.
He was, well, I think what happened is that Manny Franco had asked him to switch leads, and I think Richie Migliori always describes it well. Manny is not a rider that asks, he demands of his horse, and when he was hanging on that left lead coming in, Manny was like, no, you're switching your leads, and we're going to be able to come on, and I think that's what was happening, is that sometimes when they're kind of lugging in like that or being a little bit odd right here when he is not wanting to switch, they kind of cock their head a little bit, and that's what happened at that point. So then when he comes along, then you see the competitiveness kind of kick in a little bit right here.
And we all like this horse. I'm not sure we didn't get a little bit lucky, frankly, because, and the 4 On the Hill actually ran the best race, and Kendrick's aggression really almost paid off for him, and I wasn't right about Big Prankster. He actually ran very well in here.
Yes,
I mean, he lost, but he ran very well. We were right to be a little bit suspicious of the 2 Apollo Code. He didn't come close to bringing that form that he have in New Jersey here.
One more look down the stretch. Here comes Agalos in his 3-year-old debut. And yeah, finally kicks in as those competitive juices start flowing.
And the weight of all 3 of us picking, it's amazing he overcame it. Probably without that weight, he might have won by 5.
Maybe so.
Good ride by Manny. 2 straight races where Manny's aggressive riding and getting his horses into position really paid off. He broke very well today, too, also.
He actually broke the sharpest of all, and then Kendrick Carmouche and On the Hill was intent on going to the lead. Joel Rosario was hustling Big Prankster out, and so Manny made a smart move and kind of sitting just in that catbird seat.
Good performance by all 3 of these horses, actually, especially you think of this as the first race off a layoff. On the Hill has run well in Saratoga. I think the Bonds have to be happy going up there, and Big Prankster showed that he can run well on the dirt, so, you know, maybe he is going to take it. At least it gives them that option. They could enter on the turf. If it gets rained off, they can run in there, because this was the best race I think he ever ran.
Nice to have some versatility.
Yeah.
Manny for George Weaver, Rap Racing. And the second career win for Agalos the Great in his 3-year-old debut to start off this Pick 5.
Tonalist, a 4-time Grade 1 winner with 11 triple-digit buyers, including the Belmont Stakes and the Cigar Mile. He's already living up to his potential as a sire, with multiple graded stakes winners, including Grade 1 winner Country Grammar and Grade 2 winner Tonalist Shape, plus multiple 6-figure yearling and 2-year-old sales. Proven on the track, proven in the sales ring. Tonalist, standing at Lane's End.
Back at our Friday coverage, America's Day at the Races, Coney Island. If we had a company-wide hot dog eating contest, who'd be the favorite to win?
Well, not me. I'm a vegetarian.
Company-wide?
And I found out you can be disqualified for going for vegetarian hot dogs.
No, Joey Chestnut.
How about, I've actually never been to Coney Island, which I'm sort of
Have
embarrassed.
you really?
I'm embarrassed by that. I don't know why.
Wow.
Yeah, I gotta go.
I did think that I did see my life flash before my eyes as a kid on the Cyclone, but
I'm not
I
right now.
love roller coasters, so it's a very
It's
fun
a fun one.
Yeah,
And I have a
love
picture
roller coasters.
coming down.
A
They
baby.
get a snapshot of you as you come down the terrifying drop.
Yeah.
We should do a company trip.
I have a
we should
picture.
do. We should do that.
Went to Disney World with an old girlfriend years ago and got the picture coming down that water slide.
log
You go
flume.
straight down.
Yeah.
The
Or whatever.
I should
Splash
show it. I
Mountain?
should bring it and put it
Yeah.
on the show. I'm like almost in tears.
Reasons to watch before we go to Saratoga. We're going to have that picture on the program. Late Pick 5 underway here at our Friday card. Belmont of the Big A, Manny Franco. Agalos the Great, 3-year-old debut, wins for George Weaver.
Top 3 finishers running very well in here, but Agalos the Great getting to sit that good trip behind the 2 pace setters, and the strength and aggression of Manny Franco paying off.
Yeah, and a nice performance really by all 3 of these horses in a solidly run race. They all ran very, very well in here, and Agalos the Great just drawing outside, breaking as sharply as he did. He was able to work out the best trip.
I think it's funny here, you can really see what Maggie was touching on with his size as well, and
Yeah.
especially because Big Prankster is a smaller sprinter type of horse, and Agalos the Great just kind of dwarfs his competition.
And it's easier to close outside than inside.
$10.40 for the victory. On the hill, Big Prankster. Again, keep your eyes on those two. They ran pretty good, as these two mentioned as well. Pick 5, $2,879.50. Well done if you put that together. And we got the late pick 4 coming up that will begin on the grass. We'll get to that when we return. Stay with us. More from Monmouth on the way as well. If I told you there's a filly who faced Money's Gold and Sheeta Beauty in this maiden claimer in Monmouth. That's who the favorite is when we come back, but off a long time away.
Nothing stood in his way. War of Will won the Preakness.
At the line, War of Will, that's a photo for the win. Hey, 650,000.
War of Will, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back with you on this Friday afternoon with beautiful weather in Oceanport, New Jersey, here at Monmouth, and in South Ozone Park, New York, for our Belmont at the Big A coverage. This 4th race, 6 furlongs, $25,000 maiden claiming race. And we start with Flag Song Flying.
Comes off the claim. We'll see if she can improve. Had her share of chances, though, and lost it 1-5 last time.
Lily the Kid, slight drop in class.
She did run for 25,000 at Parks back in October. Definitely one of her better finishes in second.
17-1 on Lola the Kid. Start number 10 for her. 6-1 next one, a first-time starter for Kathleen O'Connell.
She has good numbers at maiden claim or first-time stars. This one's not getting bet.
We'll see her eventually.
No.
Here's the 4. Yum Yum, eat 'em up.
Dropping back down, she ran second for 30 at Laurel last time out. The blinkers also come right back off.
Balenciaga Betty went by. Here's Spouty's girl. So this is the filly who faced Sheeta Beauty, was second to her.
Yeah, obviously she's run against some very good horses. She just has a year-plus layoff and a big drop in class.
Classy Chick at 5-1.
I love this horse. Great numbers for the trainer turning back, Claudio Gonzalez. He's almost 30% going from a route to a sprint in maiden races.
And Digital Currency at 16-1.
The first time in the Wayne Potts barn, hasn't shown a ton yet on the track.
Post time coming up. Let's go to Paulie.
Yeah, so everything goes around those 6 here, right? Spouty's girl for Spouty Racing here. And like you said, Greg, she's run against some really nice horses. But then again, we're coming off a year layoff, almost on the dot here now. And, you know, Paco Lopez did get her away from the pony. I thought she warmed up very nicely in here. The works in the morning almost seemed too slow that I would think she's probably going to be very live in here. You know, Kelly Breen is about 16% off this move. So the horse has shown talent. And, you know, she's 4 years old now. So you're wondering, okay, is the drop happening now? So she is the filly to beat in here. Now, I'm kind of with Andy. I love the 7 in here, too, as well. Classy Chick. And the reason why is this horse got Lasix 2 back and improved a little bit. Claudio Gonzalez is having a good meet. I love Carlos Hernandez getting aboard this horse. I got to watch Carlos a little bit at Oaklawn. He's very good with horses from off the pace. I think this horse can sit from a little bit off the pace. So I think the 7 could be your play here at 6-1. If you're looking at some other runners in here, I mean, Mario Cerise having a monster meet for a horse to be 7-1, and that's the 4 in here. And, you know, I just think there's way better propositions than, you know, not taking the 4 at that price. I mean, the blinkers come off, horses coming from Laurel, and all the Laurel shippers have really done well so far this meet. So, and then the other horse in here is the first-time starter, Tootsie Toes. I thought she looked well. It's just like in this kind of race, you would think she would kind of get bet a little bit more than she is, and she's just not. So I get it. The 6 is by far the horse to beat in here at 6-5. But Andy, you and I are on the same horse in here in Classy Chick for Carlos Hernandez and Claudio Gonzalez.
All right. 13 for 45 going from a route to a sprint in maiden races. 12 for 41 in maiden claimers with a 218 ROI.
Wow.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Prior sprints, though, didn't inspire a ton of confidence, did they?
Well, my feeling is if the 5 wins, you lose. You're just supposed to bet against horses dropping off of 13-month layoffs.
Well, it's a similar kind of, it's 13 months, yes. It's a similar kind of look as what we saw in the first race before that horse got loose. When you see a horse coming off such a big layoff like that, it's very tough to trust these horses.
And keep in mind, she's a filly, so she could have a little bit of residual value theoretically, but I don't want this horse. She can win.
Matt Dinnerman with the call. Here's the 4th from Monmouth.
Tootsie Toes goes in. Yum Yum, eat 'em up. Post 4. Classy Chick, the penultimate runner to enter the gate. And the last one will be Digital Currency, looking to give Jorge Hernandez back-to-back wins today. We're ready to go. And Lyra off. Digital Currency with a good beginning from the far outside post. Yum Yum, eat 'em up is quick as well. Spouty's Girl in the middle of that trio. Spouty's Girl with a nose lead on Digital Currency, who's on the outside right there, and they pull 2.5 ahead of Yum Yum, eat 'em up in the 3rd position. Flag Song flying to the inside. 1.5 lengths to Lily the Kid in the 5th position, who's 4 better than Balenciaga Betty. 3rd last now. Tootsie Toes, the first-time starter, 2nd to last. Classy Chick shaken up at the back of the pack as they approach the 4-turn run. The favorite, Spouty's Girl, does it well with 3 furlongs to go. Clears off on the lead, gets to the rail, and puts a length and a half on Digital Currency, who's all in second. Flag Song flying third. Called upon to pick up the pace, rounding the turn. Yum Yum Eat 'em Up in the 3-path, getting closer. Takes the second position with those runners as they come off the turn, but it's still Spouty's Girl in control. Spouty's Girl, Paco Lopez have 3/16 to go, and this is just a stroll in the park for Spouty's Girl. Paco just gave her a little cue to get going, and boy did she respond. She put 5 lengths on her rivals. Spouty's Girl, this is just a paid workout for her. She could go around there again and do it easily. Spouty's Girl in a romp, much the best. Yum Yum Eat 'em Up runs second. Third, Home Flag Song flying, and then Balenciaga Betty.
Spouty's Girl, easy as could be. And the odds she got claimed here?
Pretty high.
1 to 2?
So.
Pretty high she got claimed. Well, I said she could beat me. She did. Quite easily.
She did. She won this easily. She was just better than what these were facing with that big drop in class. I mean, you mentioned some of the company of what she faced last year, and obviously the layoff and the drop a concern, but Paco Lopez always had enough horse, and hearing a 15-way shake.
Leaving the Kelly Breen barn, but going out a winner on the way out off the year layoff, nearly on the dot. So we get back to Belmont at the Big A. Race 6 furlongs on the grass, and this maiden special weight, where the 5 risk threshold for Chad Brown, current favorite. Let's go to Maggie.
This is a fun little race in that, it's a maiden special weight where many of these horses are turning back in distance to this 6 furlongs. None other than your current favorite in number 5, Risk Threshold. If you go back and watch her last effort around the 2 turns at Keeneland, Tyler Gaffalione, breaks like a whisper, and she is just like a bull in the china shop. He has her head not cranked, he's not fighting her, but his feet are in the dashboard, and his bum is nearly bouncing off of hers because he's trying to slow her down. And I think, honestly, sometimes these turnbacks don't work, but with her, for me, from my perspective, it makes a whole lot of sense. She is short, stout, compact. She is every bit physically of a turf sprinter, and she's awfully sharp in here. So how do you mitigate, a horse being headstrong? You turn him back. I think she does make a great deal of sense here. As we'll take a look at some others, though, is like I said, this is a kind of intriguing race. And number 1, Lamorna, she's coming back after 2 favorites being beaten as the favorite in her last 2. I, as a 2-year-old, thought she might be better with a touch more ground. Like, she kind of looks like that miler, and I still think that, though. Admittedly, her 2 sprint races are a bit better than going long. Same filly that I saw last year. She's filled out a little bit, but she's always been very laid back. She's fairly athletic, and she comes in here fit. So if you like her, there's no knocks against her because she looks ready to go here. I just don't know, A, how good she is, or B, if we're going to see that natural progression from her today. As we'll check in with a long shot, a big price on number 6, Out Too Late. Now, she was a big price when she debuted going the 2-turn mile on the 16th in August at Saratoga. She did not corner well. She's very green around that first turn. Then she went to kind of run off a little bit, and she tired, rightfully so, and was just kind of steady back. So she's been away for a long time. This was a filly that I just didn't think was mentally or physically, from a fitness perspective, ready for her debut. She's so much more mentally prepared today. She's more fit, and furthermore, she just looks like a sprinter. So I'm kind of intrigued to see what she can do at a big price, as Christophe Clement will send out the outside runner in number 10, Stage Presence. She broke last and was a bit green early, kind of being run off her feet, going 5.5 at Monmouth. But second half of the race, she put it all together as she circled up around the turn and really finished nicely down the middle of the racetrack while very wide. She, too, is your prototype for a turf sprint. Very professional here in the paddock. Look for her to give us an improved effort this time around, Greg.
6-1. Thank you, Maggie, on Stage Presence outside, making that big late rally in that sprint debut at Monmouth.
And she will need to get a trip in here, but she just was outfooted at the start too. And I agree with Maggie. You think that she would benefit from having that race, and she came closing late. Can she step forward against this group?
Here's Lamorna to kick things off. Bill Mott, Junior Alvarado.
This horse was incredibly impressive in both her turf starts, and her bad break last time was not her fault.
Echo Baby, Jeremiah Engelhardt.
Her first start as a 3-year-old. She showed a little bit more speed on debut. See where she's positioned today.
A first-time starter for John Kimmel, Aunt Nona.
His first foal from a dam that was 9 for 15 on the turf and ran a 96 buyer.
She was a very good turf sprinter.
Yeah.
Bam Bam, first-timer for Brad Cox with Manny Franco.
There is turf pedigree, and she's by a Stern, so a good turf sprint influence. But Andy and I were talking about stats with Brad Cox, first-time starters in turf sprints, just 2 for 32.
Chad Brown-Klarovich, risk threshold, cutback.
The cutback's because she became a bit of a runoff last time and tried to get her to settle. This is a talented filly. We'll see if she can be talented sprinting.
Speed going longer, now turns back, out too late.
A filly by Expert Eye. She was purchased over at Tattersall's. She showed speed on debut too, going long, but we haven't seen her since that 2-year-old race in August.
Parade Ring has Kendrick Carmouche.
One of 5 horses in this field purchased overseas. We'll see if she can improve. She ran all right first time.
Got a rider change. Trevor McCarthy off the rest of today. Chardan here.
This filly's also cutting back in distance. Ran in the Tapeta last time out as she rallied a little bit. She does have to grade 3 place Lady Beth.
Wesley Ward has Flavian Pratt on Scarlet Poppy.
I like Scarlet Poppy. I like Ward cutting back. I think that the cutback will help. And she was involved in the pace that basically fell apart last time, and she did not.
A couple of next out winners in that debut race as well. Stage presence. Here's the Clement filly.
And as we talked about with that debut race, outfooted at the start, she had an outside post in her first race too. We'll have to overcome the draw here and get into the race a little bit quicker.
That's your field in a race that kicks off the pick 4. And the favorite gets even lower now, down to 9 to 5. Risk threshold. Start number 3. We'll see if third time's a charm here with the cut back in distance.
And here's what Maggie was talking about with the position that Tyler Gaffleone was in this race at Keeneland, who was aboard that day. She moved out to the lead, and he was trying to hold her, but you could see just in her demeanor, she was like, let me go, let me go, let me go on the front end. And sometimes it's tough, especially with horses when they're out by themselves on the front end, Andy, to contain and keep control that speed, and he did everything he could, just run down late, and a cutback makes sense.
And I've had this conversation with Chad Brown. I can't remember exactly the horse. I think it was another European that had run okay going long, and he cut back, and I said, why are you doing it? And he said, because this horse is like a runoff, and I figure if I can cut back a distance, the pace is going to be faster. So she's not the horse. He or she is not going to necessarily be be able to settle a lot better because they'll be going more quickly up front. And that horse won, by the way.
See if that happens here. 9 to 5 favorite, risk threshold. Here's Lamorna. So the 3-year-old debut coming up for this one for Bill Mott.
This was some performance, and I think, when you see the start, she doesn't break slowly. She's steady, or she drops back, but when we show you the head-on, you're going to see exactly why. It was not her fault, Acacia.
Yeah, the 2-horse will come over and really kind of shut her off. Now, she has had a little bit of trouble at the start in her races, but I actually thought that, as you said, she broke well this time, and here she's going to get pushed out by a horse that's breaking in and lose her position in that spot. Obviously, you'd like to see them being able to move forward, but I don't think it was as much her fault when she came flying late last time out. I prefer her sprinting personally, and I was thinking that she could be able to take a step forward coming back 2 to 3, and we've seen Bill Mott with these horses making their 3-year-old debuts ready to run over the last couple of weeks.
Keisha, I was sure she'd be favored in here, and I mean, either she's dead on the board or they're so focused on betting both the 5 and 9 that they're completely missing her. But this was a horse that got a 70 buyer in her debut, lost to a good horse in Kodiak Wintergreen, Ever So Sweet, who came back with a win. That was good. She had a crazy trip that day, and I don't think the issues at the start have really been her fault. Now, maybe getting the rail again is intimidating some people. I don't worry about that as long as somebody doesn't come in and interfere with her.
That was a full-on hockey check.
Yeah, I mean,
time out.
What happened to her last time is not her fault. She would have won that race.
Yes.
And probably won it fairly easily if the 2 hadn't come over.
Yeah.
Got to deal with the inside post again. Here's Scarlet Poppy. So here's a cutback horse for Wesley Ward, and the second, third place finishers came back to win out of there.
And she is my top choice. Wesley Ward turning back on the turf from a route to a sprint. He's 8 for 33, 291 ROI, a couple of $20 horses in that sample. But I wonder if this pedigree says maybe a little bit shorter is better. And not only, of course, come out of that race and run well, but the other speed finished 11th at 9-1 and ran much better in a prior start, and another one of the speeds finished last in there, I believe. So this is a horse that I think ran against the grain of that race that basically fell apart.
And they had high hopes for her, too. Purchased at Tattersall's October yearling sale for the U.S. equivalent of about $950,000.
Let's go back to Maggie.
You can see why they paid that much for her, because she is a big, good-looking filly. Talking about number 9, Scarlet Poppy. I will say this, though. Wesley's good at this type of turn back. She doesn't necessarily physically look like shorter is better for her because she is such a big, rangy type of filly. Moving great out there, but on the flip side of that, too, she's coming off a little bit of a layoff. And yes, Wesley's horses are, as a general population coming out of that barn, they do tend to be heavier types. He definitely, feeds them well, which you like to see. But at a short price, I don't know. But Andy and you guys are right. She comes out of, I think, the best race of anybody in here. I mean, not only were they next time out winners, the second place finisher won the Grade 3 Regret. And the winner that day, Ready for Shirl, is 2 for 2 on the turf. She didn't win her next start because it was on the synthetic for Roger Atfield. So, yeah, there's probably talent there. Is this the right distance? I'm just not sure at a short price. Now, speaking of not short prices, the 2 first-time starters are big ones in here. Aunt Nona, I like the pedigree on this girl as love Uncle Mo. Dam, as you guys were saying, very talented turf sprinter, multiple stakes winner, 3-time stakes winner as well. This is her first full, totally dappled head to toe, looks fit, was a bit green though, so might need this start from the mental perspective of things. And then number 4 for Brad Cox, wonder who she's named after. One of our pony guys out here. Nickname is Bam Bam. Anyway, looks turf, nicely on the bridle. I just thought she needed one to strengthen up. Just looked a bit weaker behind the saddle, especially for a turf sprinter. You want them to be so well muscled. So taking the wait and see approach with her, guys.
Not a Rubble fan? Bam Bam?
Yeah. But yeah, this is a filly, though, too.
I think if you want a bomb in here, and I have nothing against any of the horses taking money in here, I think it's the 2 Echo Baby. I mean, this horse didn't run that badly first time out in a turf sprint at Saratoga. Why can't this horse improve coming off, as a first time as a 3-year-old? I thought that Echo Baby is like the big priced horse if you want to try to throw in your gimmicks. Though I don't have a knock on any of the horses taking money. I think they're all very live.
She ran behind Life's and Audible on debut, who had a good winter down at Gulfstream as well for Todd Fletcher.
Yeah, she's got a lot of speed, too.
Mm-hmm.
Any interest on the 6 at all?
No. Cutting back? Not really.
Well, she was a big price on debut. She had some company. She was a little hard to handle on the front end. I just hope Ramon Vasquez is able to get her to settle.
This feels like a good race.
Very good race.
This feels like a race where you're gonna, good horses are gonna lose this race. Because the 1, 5, and 9 have all run well in their first races, and the 10 didn't run badly first time out either.
Should mention too, rails out 24 feet on the outer turf.
For the most part, it's been out for a lot of the meet. It was down to 0, but mostly it's been out, well out. It's a very wide course,
Favorite remains Chad Brown, Klarovich runner, Risk Threshold with Rad Ortiz Jr. as we get set for the start of this pick 4. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
Stage presence goes in. All set. And they're off. Stage presence and Scarlet Poppy break with early speed, and there's Risk Threshold from in between horses, and Risk Threshold has the front. Right in behind her comes Aunt Nona, is now tracking from the 2nd position, is out wider there, Scarlet Poppy and also Stage Presence. They've now taken 2nd and 3rd, and that's going to push Aunt Nona at the rail back to 4th. Following her comes Out Too Late, who's in the 5th position, and Echo Baby is making up some ground as they're in 6th. Out wider, Echo Baby just had to steady as Chardin is now moving towards the 4 outside with Parade Ring. The 2 at the back, La Morna, and the trailer is Bam Bam. Risk Threshold's got the lead, is doing it nicely, 22-3 for that opening quarter mile. Risk Threshold is controlling the tempo and reaches the top of the lane. All in is Scarlet Poppy towards the outside. Aunt Nona's towards the inside, chasing as well. Risk Threshold is still galloping along, doing this very easily. Risk Threshold has barely been asked, and she's opening up again. It's Risk Threshold who's up by 2-3 widening lengths inside the final 16th. Risk Threshold. This is a very nice victory here. Risk Threshold wins it over Scarlet Poppy. Late run there out too late, and Aunt Nona in 1 minute 8.48.
Risk Threshold. This was a dominant performance against this group.
Definitely, and when you see a horse like her cutting back, you don't necessarily expect them to be on the lead in this sprint race, but she was just doing it so easily, Andy.
I mean, you could see Irad was basically just holding her the whole way around. She just destroyed these horses. Frankly, the 9 horse, the Wesley Ward horse, Scarlet Poppy, she ran a winning race in here, and she was nowhere close to her. You know, I mean, there are a lot of races where Scarlet Poppy would have won quite easily. And the pace, you know, the first quarter wasn't that fast, but they were moving reasonably well. And Irad's asking a little bit here, but it's almost just more encouragement.
Nobody really made up any ground.
No,
there wasn't much movement in this race. Scarlet Poppy was kind of right there, and she was the only one within calling distance. But even towards the wire, Risk Threshold was certainly not let out completely.
No, Greg, your long shot, the 6, actually got third in there at a big price. But, man, this horse, Risk Threshold, she just thrashed these horses.
Yeah, 5, 9, 6, 3, 35 to 1 shot, completing the trifecta. 43 to 1 shot. The first time Aunt Nona completing the super in here, but all about the winner. This was 108-2 for the 6 furlongs.
I think it's a little soon. I think it's the Coronation Cup, the 3-year-old filly race, maybe the first weekend at Saratoga, the 5.5 furlong stake.
So, yes.
Probably a little soon, but they got to look to be sprinting her up in Saratoga. It's probably a 3-year-old race later in the meet for her, and this is a very impressive win. Obviously, competition can get a lot tougher.
Fancy,
is
like
that olders or is that 3-year-olds?
I
can't remember either. I was thinking that, but I'm not
Yes.
sure. Regardless.
Yes.
We'll see her somewhere. Maybe she'll find an allowance next, but she's okay. But the competition's going to get tougher, to be fair. I mean, you know.
Impressive way to return, though. Trying 6 furlongs for the first time. Risk Threshold the win. 5, 9, 6, 3 prices when we come back.
It's a domineering display by the ultra-talented McKinsey. McKinsey in a dominant performance.
1,200,000 right there. 1,200,000. 25, 550. Mitchell, 550,000. Now 500. And 500,000. Thank you. 450. 75. 475,000.
Back with you on our Friday coverage. America's Day of the Races, cross country pick 5 coming up next. Kicks off with the 5th at Monmouth. Includes races 5, 6, and 7 from New Jersey and races 7 and 8 here in New York.
I got that. The last 2 will not be on our show. They will be after we are off the air. You gonna stick around, do some like voiceover for it, Greg, maybe?
If you two stay with me, I'm in.
I'm out.
On the turf
Good
to
call
kick it
by
off.
you.
At a mile and a 16th, this first allowance condition race where the 4 high stick, 6-5 favorite. We start with Postino's Prophecy.
This one looks to be a little overmatched. So this was a competitive race.
Sensitivity, Jose D'Angelo.
Third in a race that a couple come out of last time out, a horse that tends to come from a little bit off the pace.
Gurley the Butcher coming off a win on the grass.
Has even less speed. I want to know where the name came from.
High Stick, the 6-5 favorite, Paco Lopez.
And a mare that does have some early speed, and that's definitely to her benefit. It just seemed like the longer, the better for her.
Third to surge capacity. Here is the 6, Factor Bella. The 7, Madam Mischief.
Madam Mischief seems very dangerous here. I'm not sure why the 4 is a big favorite over Madam Mischief. I thought this one would be favored.
And they're going by fast. Sorry, guys. War Woman, a 16-1.
And a horse that's stretching out from a sprint try last time out should need to step forward in here.
I've learned from the post race at Monmouth they spend 50% of the time on the first horse.
They do. I was waiting because Greg didn't mention the 5, and so I was like, oh, there's still another horse before they come to me. But, you know.
Well, let's go to Paul as we get set for this cross-country pick 5 to kick off.
Well, it's funny. We'll start off with your favorite here at 3-2, the 4 high stick in here. And, you know, Paco Lopez had his choice between a couple runners in here, the 4 and the 7, your 2 choices right now. But high stick last time was behind Mama June, and Mama June kind of freaked a little bit on the turf course and won by 4 and just ran away. I actually was like the effort, you know, to be chasing. But when you look at some of her efforts, you know, she did break her maiden at Belmont going 1.25 miles, and you know, this is what we're showing you right now. Excuse me, the maiden win at 1.25 miles. Now she's come back a couple times, and in the last time behind Mama June, like I said, she kind of freaked a little bit. And now the thing that you got to decipher here is, do you want to take the 5-year-old mare in the 4 against the 7 in here, who's a 3-year-old in Madam Mischief? And, you know, Andy makes a good point. This daughter of Into Mischief's 3-year-old filly has gotten better and better in her last 2 starts, and she's gotten better with Lasix. In her last start, you know, Paco Lopez was aboard her. Her sensitivity was in this race. She got in between horses a little bit, you know, and Paco had been aboard her before, so I would think he had a choice. But now they're going to go to Jairo Rendon, and if you look at the stats for Jorge Delgado and Jairo Rendon, they're 4 for 8 at this meet. So I think the 7 has got a ton of upside. I actually like this replay going back. I know the horse has not won this year, but I think that she's knocking on the door. And again, a 3-year-old against a 5-year-old. I'll go with the horse that's going on the upswing here at 2-1, Greg.
All right, so Madam Mischief, thanks, Paulie, for Jorge Delgado. Jairo Rendon, 9-5, trying to get the second win on the grass.
But looking at the fixed odds here, the 7 appears like she's likely to be the favorite by post time.
All right, we'll get back to this race. Minute to post. Again, final chances to get in that cross-country pick 5 on Naira Bets. Back in the winner's circle. An impressive maiden-breaking win for Risk Threshold on the turn back in distance.
She was very impressive. When she got so comfortable on the front end early, she kind of just bounded out of there, Andy. And Irene Ortiz never really had to ask her for much throughout. She's definitely going to be a big, big player as far as the filly sprinting on turf goes throughout the rest of the summer.
This was a very easy win by her, and a good move turning back, because she was extremely good with the first, second choices running 1-2 in here, and really only the long shot that both Maggie and Greg mentioned getting up for third, the 6. And you know, sometimes those are the kind of horses that you can, you know, with Maggie or you see the paddock and you talk about. And these are the kind of horses, Outlet's not going to win, but if you play tries, you play supers. I mean, look at this situation. The Exacta paid actually a fairly reasonable $12 for $1. The try was about 12 times that for $1 by getting in a long shot third. And obviously with 3 horses take most of the money, a lot of horses were prices. And those are the kind of horses that can make you money.
Coronation Cup might be a little too soon. July 12th.
Yeah, I thought it was the first weekend.
Back to Monmouth. Again, cross-country pick 5 starts here. 3-2 favorite. High Stick, Shug McGahee, and Paco Lopez aboard.
She definitely makes a lot of sense. She has early speed. She broke her maiden wire to wire at Belmont last July. Came back off of a significant layoff and definitely took a step in the right direction last time out. But she will have to run her race with Madam Mischief in here. A horse that, well, maybe she's just 1 for 9, Andy. She's run against some nice horses throughout the winter at Gulfstream. And even last time, she's kind of been right there knocking on the door.
Now, listen, High Stick lost to Mama June, who came back and finished second to tax implications in her next start and ran very well. She also got beaten 4 lengths. And I really think this is a case where if Shug McGahee and Paco Lopez weren't the trainer and jockey on the 4, and not that it doesn't matter with those guys, one's a Hall of Fame trainer and the other one is winning a lot of races in Monmouth. But this entry, this horse is taking too much money because of connections. And High Stick has shown who she is, which is good enough to win, but it just seems to me that Madam Mischief has shown to be a little bit better.
And she becomes a slight favorite now at 7-5, Madam Mischief.
I mean, she seems like the one, right? To me, I think she should be favored.
I know you had a little interest in Sensitivity. The 2 was just behind Madam Mischief in her last start. I mean, she's certainly one that's taken a step forward.
Why is she impossible off her last race? I agree. I thought her last race was good enough. She draws well towards the inside, and maybe she's the value on the board at 9-2 right now as the 3rd choice.
Third off the bench for her. As they load up in this 5th here at Monmouth. Starts at pick 4, also starts that cross-country pick 5. Good luck to everyone playing.
I'd use 2 and 7. Try to beat the 4.
I will also say one thing that's an interesting point in here, in that the 4 High Stick is a 5-year-old mare that's only making start number 8. And then you have Madam Mischief, who's a 3-year-old who just faced older for the first time last time and ran very well, was actually the favorite that day. So she's maybe kind of the up-and-coming type, whereas what you said with High Stick, we know what she is. Maybe she'll get comfortable on the front end and wire the field here.
Matt Dinnerman, the call. Here's the 5th from Monmouth.
And they're off. All 8 runners broke smooth enough. Factor Bella is prominent coming out of the chute. High Stick not far off as well. Madame Mischief in the purple jacket. Right outside of that pair, High Stick taking control of things. Factor Bella in the 2nd spot now clearly. Madame Mischief alongside. Talmo down at the rail 4th. Then War Woman, Postino's Prophecy, Sensitivity 2nd to last. Gurley the Butcher, void of early paces at the back as they hit the clubhouse turn. The 9-5 post-time favorite, High Stick, is paving the way here by about a length. Factor Bella running in the 2nd spot. Madame Mischief 3rd, 3 deep in a good stalking position. Has lost a little ground on that first turn, but in a good spot nonetheless as they start to pick up the tempo. Approaching the backstretch run. High Stick being joined by Factor Bella and Madame Mischief. Those 3 right across the track with 5 furlongs to travel. A space of 2.5 to Talmo. Watching the top 3 in front of her. Another 2 to Sensitivity. War Woman has lost a couple spots. She's retreating to midfield. Postino's Prophecy joins her. And Gurley the Butcher has yet to pass a runner as they approach the 4-turn run. High Stick with a neck lead. Factor Bella not making it easy. Madame Mischief 3 wide right there. Moving up nicely, Madame Mischief. High Stick sticking to her though. Factor Bella between them all in. Sensitivity getting a good trip, is peeling outside and with a shot. Going to be 4 wide coming off the turn. The others have got to get going as they come down the lane. High Stick and Madame Mischief side by side. Sensitivity joins the fun on the front end. Sensitivity on the outside with a move to the lead. High Stick repelling Madame Mischief in 2nd, but Sensitivity got the trip. Sensitivity, Samuel Marin with 2 wins today. It's the gray. Sensitivity to win it. High Stick 2nd, Madame Mischief 3rd, Postino's Prophecy 4th.
Sensitivity kicks off the cross-country pick 5. Thank you, Andy Serling.
Getting the right trip here, huh? I mean, you got to give some credit to High Stick for sticking in there. And Madam Mischief, three wide chasing trips like that are the wrong trip to get. She had nothing down the stretch. Factor Bell was always in her way, but a good ride and a good trip for Sensitivity.
And it was High Stick who went out to the front end, and just as she's done in previous races, when you ask her with the crop in the stretch, she starts swishing her tail. She doesn't seem like she's the easiest horse to keep moving forward. She did hang around after she had company from the pace, but this horse, Sensitivity, just in that perfect spot under Samuel Marin, who was able to get the right kind of trip.
Third start off the bench, third win on the grass for Sensitivity to kick off this cross-country pick 5. Prices when we come back for the Jose D'Angelo barn. Stay with us. We'll continue right after this.
Buy in July. America's #1 ranked yearling sale by percentage of stakes winners, stakes horses, and 2-year-old winners. A catalog packed with precocious yearlings by the nation's best sires, plus a showcase of the freshman sires of 2024. Recent grads include Grade 1 winners Carson's Run, Candy, and Go Rocket Ride, with a growing list of graded stakes winners. The Fasig-Tipton July sale of selected yearlings, July 9th in Lexington, Kentucky. Where will you be?
The Factor, a perennial leading sire of winners. He was 3rd in the nation by winners in 2021 and 2022. His progeny include Grade 1 winners Sistron and Noted and Quoted, Grade 2 winner Charmaine's Mia, and Millionaires Bound for Nowhere. And factor this, with dozens of 6-figure yearling sales, he's a proven sire on the track and in the sales ring. The Factor, standing at Lane's End.
Monmouth Park's 50-cent Win Early Pick 5 is one of the country's earliest Pick 5s, making it the perfect way to get your wagering day started. With a $12.50 post on weekends, the Win Early Pick 5 is home to a low 15% takeout and 6-figure pools. Start your day winning early. Play Monmouth Park's Win Early Pick 5. Win early, win often.
Back at our Friday coverage, America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2, regional networks out in Southern California. Thanks for being with us. Program brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Cross-country Pick 5 begins with Sensitivity at Monmouth. Mile and a 16th on the turf, 3rd off the bench for this 5-year-old mare for Jose D'Angelo.
She got the right kind of trip in here, was able to turn the tables on Madam Mischief, who had a wide trip pressing the pace setter. And the horse that was the one setting the pace, High Stick, hanging in for second, but the winner getting the right kind of trip on the turf in here, Andy.
Yeah, you know, I mean, a very good ride, a very good setup. They weren't going that fast, but they went fast enough. And she was kind of a logical horse to see alternative. The 7, chasing like that 3 wide is a disaster situation. She doesn't have the speed of the 4. The 4 ran fine in defeat, but that seems to be a common refrain with her.
So Sensitivity with the victory, 7-2 in the end on this 5-year-old mare, daughter of Street Sense. Get you those prices shortly. Back at Belmont, getting set for the 7th coming up, approaching the 9-minute mark to post. Back on the turf, New York Breds, $40,000 maiden claiming race. And we'll have more on this field when we return on our Friday coverage on Fox Sports 2. Stay with us.
The best 2-year-old by legendary sire Quality Road.
Hit back, $1.5 million.
Very, very impressive debut. Cantering home. Could not have been more impressive.
Coast to coast in the American Pharoah. He's the real deal.
Undefeated and unchallenged at 2.
He's just too good. He wins the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Corniche.
Back with you as we get set for race 7 here, Belmont of the Big A. New York breds, 40 maiden claiming 2-turn mile on the grass. Coming up with an even money favorite in Miss Lau, who drops in class for Belmont.
Yeah, she's taking a lot of money. Surprised that she's a favorite over the 3 starts now.
Kick things off with Del Arte for Pat Quick. It's Katie Davis aboard.
She does have plenty of turf pedigree. The dam was a Group 3 winner in Europe as well. See if she improves getting to the grass.
Starts now. Matka Kitramachi with Eric Cancel.
At one time, she would bury this field, and either she's completely dead on the board, is a bad sign, or she's a massive overlay.
Here's the even money favorite, Miss Lau.
Bit of a runoff for first time on the turf. Last time out, she'll drop in class for her second turf try.
Our reward, blinkers on.
Yeah, she has speed, but not much stamina. Good luck to her.
Quick already, and then blinkers on as well. Rosé Summer, Christophe Clement.
Her first time getting to run for a claiming tag on the turf. Just not a dirt horse as was seen last time out.
Second time on the grass for Spirit of Esther.
I have no idea why this horse is taking so much money, other than her trainer must like her, because I don't think she ran well at all her first time on the turf, and I don't see anything to suggest she'll be better with more distance.
Blinkers on, Detonate.
And off the layoff, she dropped. She has shown an affinity for the turf and has pedigree for it as well.
For the Clement Barn with Dylan Davis. Here's the 10, Hidden War Dance. Francisco Martinez, rider change.
And those war dancers typically do take to the grass. She, too, is dropping in class for the first time, really trying to turn things around.
And also eligible that draws in Adult Entertainer.
Another one dropping in class, but she's run on the turf and is yet to show much.
5 minutes to post here in the 7th. Let's go to Maggie.
We'll check in with some horses trying the turf for the first time, including a Pig Bomb, and that's down on the rail with number 2, Del Art. She heard the guy saying that she does definitely have some turf pedigree, being a daughter of More Than Ready in the Dam, a group stakes winner in Ireland, sprinting, albeit though, on the turf. She definitely has a turf hoof, and I think that she should appreciate the surface change. If she doesn't, then she really just can't run at all, to be fair. But she looks all turf meant, as that pedigree would suggest. So at a big price, I do think she's kind of worth taking a look at. As we'll move on to the outside with number 8, Detonate, as she will try the turf for the first time. Now, Connects, they haven't made that big of a splash on the turf. But the Dam, she was 3 for 9 on it. She could kind of run on both. I remember her quite vividly for Linda Rice and this ownership and breeder, Daisy Cutter. This filly is a half to Bomb Squad, who isn't still a maiden while exclusively running on the turf. So I don't know if she's really been able to produce anything yet. I will say this about Detonate, though, is I didn't like the way she looked at all first time out, and she was a short price that day, and she didn't do any running because she looked really, really weak across her top line. She looks completely different today. She has put on so much muscle mass and strength, and just so much stronger behind the saddle too. I'm not sure if she's going to like the turf. I wish she was a little bit more convincing with that surface change, or I would have picked her, because I really think physically she's just moved forward as she'll put those shortcut cheater blinkers on. Christophe's other horse in here is number 6, Rosé Summer. Yes, she is all turf. She's very angular frame, little bit of a slighter filly. And when she debuted at Tampa on the turf, she didn't have much speed that day. And then she kind of moved closer around the turn and just stayed on evenly. I think she will put herself more in the game today. I know her form wouldn't necessarily suggest that, but she's fairly sharp in here. She's not my cup of tea physically, but again, in this field, I do feel as though she makes a good deal of sense. She's a generous price right now, 6 to 1, and I'm falling for it with number 7, Spirit of Esther. And yeah, Andy's right. It feels like Carlos Martin likes a lot of his horses, and they take a lot of money. So therefore, your price gets hurt a lot of times. But I think she is a little bit intriguing. I thought in that sprint race, she was kind of mid-pack in a strung-out field. She had to steady going into the turn, and then she made this 3-wide move around it, and she's kind of just stayed on well late whilst really, really wide in the middle of the track. And for me, that suggested that more ground would be suitable for her. And so far, she's getting on her toes as they approach the gate, but she's been very calm, cool, collected. That's always a disposition you want for a horse trying a longer distance for the first time. And physically, she has that more even frame where I think she should be able to handle it, Greg.
I'll see what happens. 5-1 as she tries stretching out on the grass for her second try over the lawn.
And I will say, I was in the paddock for her last race, and she was pretty bad in the gate beforehand, too. They kind of had to back her out, reload her. She kind of got herself wound up before the race even started. So Maggie saying that she's acting better today, certainly a positive, especially if she will try to stretch out.
I just worry about her going longer. You know, that's my problem. And I agree with Maggie said. I just feel like she got in the stretch. She should have done something. And that's what kind of bothered me. And obviously, I have a world of respect for Maggie's opinion. I bet a couple dollars. I find this race, though, frankly, at 6-1, I should bet the 6, who I picked in here, and I guess I'll bet a few dollars on her. I don't have a lot of confidence in any of these horses. I bet a couple dollars to win the 2. I mean, as Maggie said, she probably can't run at all, but she has too good a pedigree. And, you know, look in the last race, the other division of this race, and take a look at the number 5, Solo Empire, another horse who had a turf move-up pedigree. And that horse couldn't get out of his own way on the turf and on the dirt. And went on the turf and improved, you know, many, many lengths to finish a good second at a huge price. These are the kind of horses, if you get big bombs home, sometimes you can get lucky with a pedigree play, strictly a pedigree play.
Meanwhile, the prices come down on the 3. Starts now 5-2. Second choice on the board. Favorite still Miss Lau as we look at the 5 here, our reward.
And Starts Now does need to turn things around. She does get to run on the turf for a claiming tag for the first time. She's not a dirt horse. I think that she needed that race last time out. But as Andy mentioned, in her 2 races back in November were not her best performances, even though she did run against quality horses like Delahaye. But, I mean, you look back to earlier in 2023 where she was second to Overacting. She's been running good races. It would make her incredibly competitive. Can she run back to those efforts?
No, yeah, I think she's the logical horse in this race. I mean, I don't have a problem with Miss Lau. I just don't think she'd be a shorter price than Starts Now. I think Starts Now is a more logical horse. 5-1 on the 6 is a good price. And I respect Maggie's opinion, but I think even she would agree. Spirit of Esther at 5-1 is not the world's greatest gamble. If she's 12-1, that's a different story.
Here we go, 7th mile on the turf in this New York Bred 40 maiden claiming event. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
Adult Entertainer. Is it? All set. And they're off. Good speed from Delart, and Starts Now is in that early mix as well. It's going to be Starts Now with a head in front. Here comes Our Reward, is challenging towards the outside, and now Our Reward, the big long shot, is going to take him towards that first turn. Romero Mirage, and Our Reward is kicked on, is up by 2, 3 widening lengths and cornering very wide around this turn. Right there in second comes Starts Now, who's now well settled with Delart at the rail. Ground-saving Journey in third as the leader is out in the center of the course and is still drifting out here as they work to the backstretch. Was bearing out there, and that's going to open up the inside pass. Now it's 3 across the course. Back there in the 4th position, that's Rosé Summer. In 5th is Miss Lau. As they start to skip away here, they're 2.5 lengths clear from Spirit of Esther, who's back in now the 6th position, is followed with the red cap of Detonate. Adult Entertainer is to her outside and also trying to rally on from the back. Hidden War Dance is now straightening up more. Our Reward has gotten over to the rail. 48 seconds flat, that half-mile time, and let's see how she handles this far turn. Our Reward takes him into the turn, is still in front with Starts Now ready to pounce, and Starts Now is ranging up on the outside. Miss Lau is also traveling nicely in the yellow cap, trying to progress as well as Spirit of Esther is going to follow that move. They reach the top of the lane. Backing out of it now, Our Reward. Here's the run from Starts Now. Miss Lau is ready to pounce. Spirit of Esther. Javier Castellano dives down towards the inside. Rosé Summers trying to run on too. It's Miss Lau who's in front. Starts Now is not going away, trying to join them. Still down towards the inside is Spirit of Esther. Starts Now has found another gear. Starts Now is back up by a length and a half. Starts Now is your winner. Spirit of Esther finished second. Fading late there was Miss Lau in third, and Detonate in 1 minute 37-1.
Starts Now. Eric Cancel for the Cantermachi Barn. 10th time finally breaks her maiden.
Yeah, and I liked her in this spot, but Andy, I thought that she was going to go off as favorite, and I felt like I was kind of taking the easy way out in this race, but it was a nice ride by Eric Cancel as well. She was able to outgame Miss Lau, and Spirit of Esther ran very well too.
I agree. It was a great call by Maggie. She was absolutely right about the 7 Spirit of Esther, and the money was right on her too, because she got a good trip, but she ran well in a much, much better race than she ran first time in the turf. As far as the winner, we said it before the race, and I know you liked her as well, but she obviously should have been favored in this race, and Miss Lau didn't run badly. But this horse starts now. It had races that were just too good.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us do this. I know I do. You want to be kind of a wise guy. You want to try to find the hidden horse, and it's always fine to try to find those horses as long as their prices are good enough. But and as when you do public handicapping, we do, you don't know the final odds. It's hard to imagine the 4 was going to be a shorter price than the 3. Had you known that, there's no way any of us could have taken the 4 over the 3.
3, 7, 4, 8, 5-2 on starts now. Eric Cancel aboard for the win. First for that man over in Ireland. Johnny V had a couple of mounts today. We'll tell you how he did and what he has coming up over the weekend. Stay with us. We'll be back. More America's Day at the Races right after this.
War Dancer, New York's leading turf sire, is on fire at the Big A with Dancing Buck wire-to-wire in the elusive quality.
Dancing Buck is almost there. Dancing Buck.
Power Attack with back-to-back wire-to-wire wins.
It's going to be Power Attack.
As well as 26 Black.
26 Black almost there. 26 Black.
And Roos.
Torigo trying to catch up both. Roos to the inside of the red blinkers. Roos gets the victory.
The breeding shed is still open. Breed to a winner. War Dancer, proud to stand in New York.
These New York bred foals represent many sires. War Dancer, Salamini, Honest Mischief, Central Banker. But they all have one thing in common. Starting in 2026, they'll be running for the same purse money as Open Company 2-year-olds at NYRA tracks. That's nearly 20% more than they run for now. Learn more about it at nybreds.com.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Told you earlier this week on the program, John Velasquez, Hall of Famer, first time ever in his career over in Ireland and hitting the board at the Curragh on Kentucky Gal in race 6 today.
Yeah, they're in those purple silks, and have to give this 3-year-old filly credit. This was actually her 3rd race in June. She was coming back in just a 12-day turnaround, but running very well, and I'm told that he was actually galloping out ahead of the rest of the field for those that are interested in the gallop out. But I know that Johnny was very excited having the opportunity to go ride over in Ireland after riding at Royal Ascot as well, and actually getting the photo for 3rd, which is, I'm sure, had to be fun.
This is why the man's a Hall of Famer and one of the best ever. He's on holiday right now. That's why he's over there, and he's working the entire time.
I'm going to say it shows he's insane, but I hear you on that. I think it's got to be really fun for him, obviously, with his, his family married to from Ireland, and obviously over there with Leona, his wife, as well as the family. And I think he's just having fun riding in these races. I think it's really cool.
Absolutely.
He's got a busy day again on Saturday. The holiday's going to have to wait for him. The Irish Derby Festival continuing on the weekend. He's going to have 3 mounts, including one for Aidan O'Brien.
Bernard Shaw, the maiden race. And it's pretty fun to see a rider with the caliber that John Velasquez is. And he said it's the good horses that keep that passion, that fire of wanting to come back and continue riding. And when you have the opportunity to ride at some of these spectacular race courses overseas, that's a neat opportunity.
I think it's got to be great.
Yeah.
Riding in the Curragh. I mean, I'd love to go to the Curragh. I've been to Ireland, but I haven't been there. I'd like to go to the Irish Champion, which is at Leopardstown.
Yes.
But unfortunately, it's the Saturday after Saratoga, and it's just kind of exhausted after the meet.
Post parade here at Monmouth for the 6th in this allowance optional claiming field. Crafty Dawn the rail.
Yeah, this horse finished 5th at this level last time out. We really have to turn things around.
Max's Glory stretched back out on dirt last start and got a win.
Big figure last time winning a maiden race. We'll see if they can go on from it.
Amor Doro for Tim Shaw.
A horse that has run a couple of good races, disappointed last time out when pressured pace as a heavy favorite.
Forever Chocolate went by. Here's Libs Contento.
This horse coming out of a New Jersey bred stake race.
11-1. Well, we'll skip. Oh, no, sorry. That was Irish Meadow, 2-1 favorite.
See if you can bounce back second off a layoff.
Lemon Creek Louis taking play as well.
Another one coming out of some New Jersey bred stakes tries.
And Cash Kid, big price on the outside. 2
bad races in a row. Do you think a scratch at Dantastic really helps the one, Amor Doro, that maybe that horse could lead him on a merry chase, or at least try?
Does seem to be most comfortable when he's able to be in control of how the pace is run.
9-5 favorite Irish Meadows coming out of a state-bred stakes race. Paulie, what do you think second off the bench?
Well, I think he's definitely the horse to beat. Your only concern is he's 9. He's 9 now, and maybe he needed that last race, being 9 years old, off the layoff. But, you know, to close out basically his 8-year-old campaign, he had back-to-back wins. And, you know, he was actually in very, very good order for Claudio Gonzalez. And these were state-bred races that he comes out. He won back-to-back races, but they were both with Lasix Award, and then last time out at Monmouth, off a long layoff, his 9-year-old debut just didn't happen. But if he comes back to this race, he's going to be a handful in here. But, you know, I would think it's kind of reasonable. I get a lot of people are thinking, okay, why is this horse dropping? Well, I think because he's 9 now, and for $15,000, I think a lot of people will still jump in and reach for him in the claim box. So we'll see what happens, but he's definitely the horse to beat, whether any kind of metrics that you kind of use in here. He's 8-5. He's going to go off as your favorite. Now, the 8 Lemon Creek Louis is taking money from Michael Moore. Tough horse to figure out because the numbers back when are very good here, but the last 4 or 5 races have not been much. So I don't really know what to do with the 8 in here. And I think 5-2 is a little too low for me, considering the last 4 races have not been good. Michael's a very, very good trainer. Usually hangs his tack over at Parks and is very, very talented. You know, Amor Doro, the 4 in here, I think can cut out some fractions here for Tim Shaw. You know, the 3 and the 4 are the other 2 in here. Max's Glory. Max's Glory was very game to win last time out. But I think 9-5 on the 7, and that's a gift right now. I think you're going to end up getting 6-5 or even money when they spring the latches, Greg. And I think Irish Meadow is going to be very tough to beat.
All right, yeah, that price already starting to come down. Paulie, thanks. 8-5 right now on the 8-time winner, the 9-year-old, who's making his second start back of this 9-year-old season.
He's an honest horse, though, too. 49 starts, 8 wins, 10 seconds, and 7 thirds.
See if he can notch another one here, just shy of $500,000 in earnings. Matt Dinnerman with the 6th for Monmouth.
Amor Doro. Two back. Lemon Creek Louis and Forever Chocolate. Cash Kid to the outside post. Here's Cash Kid. We're ready to go. And lay rough From the inside, Crafty Don gets the first call. Max's Glory takes the second position, a half length off Crafty Don approaching the turn. Crafty Don with the ears pricked up has the lead. Here comes a couple of challengers though. Max's Glory, Amor de Oro in the 3-path, easing off that pair. Lemon Creek Louie parked outside of Amor de Oro, third and fourth. A gap of 4 to Forever Chocolate, who's next in the field. Libs Contento third last. The gray Irish Meadow second to last. Cash Kid already being encouraged to get going here at the back of the pack, shaken up, approaching the backstretch run. A strung out group in the long shot at 50-1. Crafty Don is on top, 3/4 of a length. Max's Glory right there pressing from the outside second. A length and a half to Lemon Creek Louie. Amor de Oro there side by side. Big gap of 5 to Forever Chocolate. Irish Meadow, Libs Contento are next. And a big space of 3 or 4 to Cash Kid, who is still hard ridden at the back and not making up En-roads as they approach the far turn run. Crafty Don now shaken up to keep pace on the front end at a big number. Max's Glory gets a tap on the shoulder to keep up with him. 2 back to Lemon Creek Louie. He's sent along in the 3-path, getting closer to the top pair. Amor de Oro right behind as they round the far turn. Forever Chocolate's moving up. Forever Chocolate staying in the clear for the stretch drive, but is gathering serious momentum at the top of the lane. Forever Chocolate from midfield has swept by the top 4, and he becomes the leader with a furlong to go. Irish Meadow takes the second position from second to last, and he's 2 lengths behind Forever Chocolate, who has a 16th more to get and a diminishing lead of a length. It's 3/4 of a length. Forever Chocolate is almost there. Photo finish, very tight. Forever Chocolate needed the line and was involved in the photo with Irish Meadow, who surged late.
Forever Chocolate, dwindling lead, may have just held on. Let's take one more look.
I think he did, Greg. As Andy, you and I were talking throughout the running of the race with the 7 Irish Meadow, he broke slowly, he was far back, and looked at the top of the stretch like he was really going nowhere and only late kicking it in for a close.
I also think he was spinning his wheels on the rail, whether the rail is bad or he didn't want to do any running on the inside, I don't know. And it wasn't until Vargas wheeled him to far outside that he got his momentum going. And at that point, the 5 Forever Chocolate had just gotten such a jump on him because they were together in the backstretch. Forever Chocolate on the outside made the run. He's spinning his wheels, and by the time he got going, I just think it was a little bit too late.
It looked like he didn't get by till after the wire. Paulie, what'd you see?
Yeah, the 5 here held on here. The 7 was gallant, and you're going to get 11-1 on this horse that, you know, Jairo Randon, not the best rides in the last race, but now 2 for 17 lifetime. And this is going to spice up your late pick 5 guys here as the 7 Irish Meadow just falls short. And I'm with Andy. He was not liking the dirt in the beginning of the race and took him a little while to get going. That's what happens when you're a little at 9 years old. I think he's going to be really well fit for his next race.
Posted 5-7-3-2, an 11-1 shot, beating an 8-5 favorite in the cross-country pick 5.
Yeah, if you're playing the sequence, hope you had this one. And moving on to the next leg, Forever Chocolate, 11-1, just holding off your 8-5 favorite, Irish Meadow.
Forever Chocolate, Jairo Randon. Here comes the favorite. Got super close late, but the end just a little too much to do for the 9-year-old. He's still game as ever.
Very game, and it just was a tale of 2 trips, as Andy mentioned. Once the 7 in Irish Meadow started running, he was running, but Forever Chocolate had just gotten the jump on him, and it was just too much to overcome at that point.
Starts now. Takes the 7th to Belmont. Can't sell for the Cantermachi barn. Second time in for this state-bred maiden 40 level, and first time on grass with that drop. Gets it done.
And the drop in class certainly did make a difference. $7.40 winner. She got back to a spot that she belonged, Andy, and certainly improved. Maybe she's not a dirt horse, but maybe she got some fitness out of that last race.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And she just proved to be best today.
Your winner back in Monmouth, Forever Chocolate. 1 for 16 coming in. Irish Meadow had easily handled this one before, but able to turn the tables and does so at 11-1 here. Pays $25.40 for the victory.
Generous price there over your favorite.
So if you add that in the cross country, well done. Still a little ways to go. 2 legs remain, but shaping up pretty nice to this point.
Yeah. Beat the favorites in every leg so far, too.
We are back tomorrow, 12:30 Eastern start time as we kick off weekend coverage. Grade 3 Manila on Saturday. It was Determined Lily 3 in a row, getting that third here at Belmont at the Big A. Meanwhile, Agalos the Great, Andy Acacia, both like this one. 3-year-old debut, winning performance. And how will Deterministic take to the turf? Debut on the lawn coming up Saturday in the Grade 3 Manila. We'll see you tomorrow at 12:30.